Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone. All right. Da, 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 da. All right, pausing Samantha's music at 1, 2, 3, big pause. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So just a reminder that tomorrow I will not be here for stream because I have me a doctor's appointment. I've got me an appointment and it's just too stressful to try to do both because I have to be there basically around stream time. So I'm just going to go to my doctor's appointment, but I will have a BoJack Horseman up for members so you guys can enjoy that while I am gone. Season 4, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now starting off with rough news, just as a reminder that Palestinians are still being genocided. We've gotten news that 80 people, look at it here, very devastating news.
Palestinians have died in a new wave.
80 Palestinians, at least 80 Palestinians have died because of a bombing of a hospital. A hospital, again.
Palestinians have died in a new wave of Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. A hospital was among the sites hit by missiles, with the IDF claiming it was hiding a Hamas command and control bunker. Homes and a refugee camp were also targeted. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Netanyahu had promised his military would enter the Strip with full force. At least
just devastating. Just a reminder that that is still happening. And just a reminder, as we cover Noah Samsen and Hassan today, that these are directly related to how the media is allowing us to talk about these things, how our government is censoring these topics. So we're going to talk about Hassan Piker being detained at the airport and asked about his opinion on the, quote, war. And then we're going to talk about, Noah Samsen just dropped a video about the lawsuit in which Ethan is suing him for saying that he is pro-genocide, that at the end of the day, these YouTubers who get on stream and downplay what Israel is doing and spend their time deplatforming pro-Palestinian content creators, that they are basically making excuses for the genocide that is happening. And so we're going to cover Noah Samsen today. So just wanted to start off with that reminder that Palestinians are still being starved out, that they are being genocided, that they are hitting hospitals. And yes, Chad is saying, isn't that a war crime? Yeah, in some universe, bombing a hospital is supposed to be a war crime. But Israel always uses the excuse that, quote, they have Hamas tunnels, or there's Hamas people, or there's terrorist people hiding. And so it's just devastating the way they can get around it, Like the way that humans are going to human, and it's horrible. And we just need to face the reality that we're these very imperfect beings that are capable of really horrible things. And we have to, in many ways, stop downplaying it, because I think that's what's happening. I also noticed that what was interesting about the Hassan Piker getting detained situation was how people covered the story. And I thought that that is where we should start. I want to show you how 2 different places covered the story. And then the third is an interview of Hassan on NBC. And I just want you to pay attention to the ways that people have been downplaying what's been happening, because I know you're thinking Hassan is privileged, nothing bad happened to him, quote unquote. But you have to remember that the fact that it happened to him in the first place is the issue that we're having, that American citizens are being detained no matter who they are and being asked questions about their thoughts about the president and, quote, the war. And I think that's that's something that's not only suspicious, but something that we should be very concerned about, right? Because I know that people are saying, oh, you're too paranoid. Why are you making this a big deal? I think it is a big deal. I think it is a big deal. Okay, so pay attention to this. I thought it was interesting. This is the New York Post, which, not a fan of. Liberal loudmouth streamer Hassan Piker claims he was detained by U.S. immigration officers. So pay attention to the way that it is framed. Liberal loudmouth streamer Hassan Piker claims he was detained by U.S. immigration officials. Let's listen to see how they covered this story.
Champagne socialist streamer Hassan Piker claims U.S. immigration officials attempted to detain him permanently after they allegedly stopped him for questioning when he arrived from France to Chicago over the weekend. In a 40-minute live stream, Piker recounted the incident, alleging that agents bombarded him with questions about his views on Hamas, hinting at what he described as an attempt to build a case against him. They straight up tried to get something out of me that I think they could use to basically detain me permanently, Piker told his audience, insisting that he kept his responses firm and repetitive. I kept repeating the same statement over and over again. I kept saying, I'm on the side of civilians. I want the endless bloodshed to end. I am a pacifist. I want wars to end, he claimed. Piker, who has cheered both Hamas and Houthi terrorists on his platforms, portrayed himself as bravely stonewalling the agents' questions, even as he is known for repeatedly calling Israelis inbred and defending some of the most extreme positions regarding the October 7th Hamas terror attack against Israel that left more than 1,200 people dead. The far-left streamer claimed that the detention was part of a broader effort to create an environment of fear and suppress dissenting voices like his. Nothing I have done online is illegal as of now, he said, warning that laws may change in the future and they might actually start prosecuting speech, which I do fear is the goal of this administration. Despite his claims of oppression, Piker is widely known for his lavish lifestyle, driving a $200,000 Porsche, living in a multi-million-dollar home in West Hollywood, and raking in millions of dollars a year from his online streaming ventures. During the 2 hours he claimed he was detained, Piker said he feared that customs...
I'm sorry, that reporting was crazy, bro. The way they had the conversation, the way that it like twisted in a particular fashion, the way she's like bringing up these random points, like, are we not pro free speech? Are you not concerned that Americans are being detained? Yes or no? And this is why conservatives are so funny. And all of us need to stop pointing fingers like, oh, Obama spent this much on golfing. Trump spent this much on golfing. Stop. Can we please be serious about the issues? People are dying. Like, this isn't funny. People are like having problem with housing and education and resources for their kids. And then here we are just pointing fingers at the fact that Hassan has money. Yeah, America is a diverse place in which you can be the richest and the poorest, in which people who make it can also advocate for people who haven't. And the fact is that not most people aren't going to make it. Hassan is an exception to the rule, not proof that America works. And so that's the problem. And Hassan rose to power because people felt they resonated with his message. He was lucky that he was one of the many people who were frustrated with the system, and he rose to fame. I don't know why other streamers aren't. I don't know why other people aren't rising to fame, but him being the exception is not a good example of a system working. So her pointing out that, oh, he has this car, he's a millionaire, he's a champagne socialist. So which one is it? Is he a champagne socialist or is he a far leftist? Because I feel like those two things are not exactly the same thing. I feel like she's insulting the fact that he's not leftist enough, but then saying like he's such an extremist. And also his Hamas takes are, I'm sorry, they're like almost like too nuanced for the average person to understand. He's not defending Hamas's massacre of civilians. We're just saying it's not that much different from the US military going in and killing civilians. Discord said, is it a hot take to say, even if it has Hamas tunnels, a hospital is too far? Again, bombing civilian places in order to get Hamas is like bombing American malls in order to kill Nazis. You can't bomb a US mall to kill the 10 Nazis who are in the mall. You can't bomb a hospital to kill the 10 Hamas soldiers in the hospital. You can't do it. It's immoral. It's unethical. It's it's so disgusting. And the justification from these men is just it's like a distraction from the reality that they're just seeking power and prominence. That Netanyahu has made it clear that at the expense of all the Palestinians, he will, quote, protect the Israelis. This isn't about protecting Jews. This is about killing all Palestinians because you literally think you're better than them. It's just not about protecting Israelis. We don't, if protecting Israelis means genociding all of Palestinians, like what are we talking about? I personally would not want to protect my family at the expense of a whole population. Like, that's not the way we go about solving problems.
And Border Protection agents would seize his phone or laptop, although neither was confiscated. His elaborate recap of the alleged incident comes amid a trend of influencers and activists posting exaggerated stories of brushes with immigration officials for online celebrity. Over the weekend, an anti-Trump TikTok user named Eye of Sav posted a video claiming she was held for hours while Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents inspected her phone.
Wow, I'm surprised they even mentioned her.
And social media accounts. DHS, however, publicly disputed her claims, calling them...
Oh, so now, okay, I was surprised they were showing her case because she's another good example of it's happening to other people. And no, they're just downplaying it and saying it doesn't matter. She's a TikToker. She creates content on the internet. And she was also detained and also asked questions. And that's the problem. And look, the issue is like people have warned people not to fly into America. And I think that's something you should consider. And I also think it's, I think to some point of Hassan's privilege is he kind of, did go to Paris with his family. Like, people are taking risks. And maybe because he feels like he's in a position of privilege, he can take that risk, which is kind of true. I mean, my sister's coming to visit me and we are concerned, but we also are aware that, a part of us like doesn't want to stop living our lives at the threat of it. And maybe it's a hard place to be in as people who are aware of things. Like, do we stop living our lives or do we demand the right to live our lives? Is the point that we should demand we have the right to normalcy. We have the right to visit family without feeling threatened. And if we are threatened, we have the right to stand up for ourselves. Or should we buckle down and not take the risk? I think it's up to you. I think everyone has to make that decision for themselves, but you must consider the consequences. You must prepare for the consequences. But it's so disgusting that we even have to think about the consequences. That's the dilemma. No American should feel scared to fly back home. None of us should be afraid to come back home because of our political opinions. That's kind of what America's known for. And I think that's the part that we should be focused on. Instead of blaming the people for flying and visiting family, we should be looking at our government and saying, I'm sorry, when did we start detaining people for having political opinions? I mean, obviously we've done it in the past, but why are we doing it now in this, quote, free America?
False, and clarifying that her inspection was a routine, lawful process that occurs daily for many travelers, regardless of political affiliation. Claims that her political belief triggered the inspection are baseless. Our officers are following the law, not agendas, DHS said in its response.
Well, obviously, the video ends right there. Obviously, we don't know. So Hassan is under the impression that they knew who he was. We don't know. This is the New York Post. So look how the New York Post covers the story, okay? Now, let's look at how CBS Chicago covered the story, because Hassan was supposed to be speaking in Chicago, right? That's where he came back early from his Paris vacation with his family and was detained, right?
He was in town to speak at the University of Chicago, but says he was detained for several hours at O'Hare and questioned about his political beliefs.
Federal agents say the prominent Twitch streamer is lying for likes. Our Sarah Maki is live at O'Hare and looking into this tonight. Sarah.
Yeah, guys, with millions of followers, Hassan Piker often talks about left-wing issues and believes that is why he was pulled aside and questioned here at O'Hare. We talked with our legal analyst about what travelers need to know.
They started asking me about crazy, like, do you like Donald Trump? It's illegal for him to even ask me those questions. Like, they can't deny me entry into my own country for, like, even if I was like, I love Hamas, they can't do that. Like, what do you mean?
That's American-born citizen, Twitch streamer, and left-wing political commentator Hassan Piker recounting a 2-hour encounter with federal agents after he arrived in Chicago from a family vacation in Paris, an incident he talked about at length with his millions of followers.
Everything I've done is fully protected under the First Amendment, okay? And none of these questions are actually valid questions to ask.
A Homeland Security official acknowledged the incident, telling us this is nothing but lying for likes. Claims that his political beliefs triggered the inspection are baseless. Our officers are following the law, not agendas.
And I suspect because this happened at an airport and an entry point into the country, that there were cameras everywhere.
Legal analyst Irv Miller told us
I'm sorry, Chet said detention on immigration is not new. I feel like you guys are melting down for no reason. It is very new for most of us. Hassan has never had this happen. I've never had this happen. It is not normal. I have never known anyone in the history of my life who was an American citizen who got pulled over and asked what they think about the war or what they think about the president. No, this is not normal. And I think you're being really weird and obtuse, or like, why are you saying this out loud? Who do you know? Name one person you know who's an American citizen who was stopped at immigration and asked about the president of the United States. I've never heard this story. Maybe it's anecdotal, but I have never, ever had anyone ever tell me a story like that. For citizens, for U.S. citizens, when we come back, there's a special line we go through. It says, citizens, welcome home. Okay. And then they ask us, hey, where'd you go? How much money do you have on you? I've never been asked about the president. Chat says, was he taken into another room? Yeah, he was taken into 2 separate rooms. Like, what are we talking about? Hassan is literally an American citizen. He was born here, or born in America. So what are we talking about?
Location is key. International travelers give up certain Fourth Amendment rights to search and seizure that domestic travelers retain.
Immigration has an absolute right to ask you who you are and to see your identification, but they don't have a right to ask you questions and demand answers of things other than your identity and your citizenship.
He adds all travelers keep their Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, though acknowledging that could prolong your questioning at a time when border enforcement is a White House
Great point. You said even if it's not new, it's authoritarian and concerning. I agree.
priority.
The government is trying to be tougher. It's trying to be more invasive. It's getting close to that line, whether or not something's constitutional or unconstitutional, and it always ends up in the courts.
We have asked for video of this encounter to find out exactly what was said inside. When we talked to Irv Miller, he also said when talking with clients, he advises them to answer questions respectfully, but when they think that something may be going wrong, to ask for a supervisor. From O'Hare, Sarah Maki, CBS News.
So it's interesting how the news is covering the story, right? Okay, so now let's check this video out. This is NBC News. Twitch streamer Hassan Piker recalls being questioned by CBP agents. And I thought the reason we're watching it through this lens is because I want you to see that just because it's a streamer situation doesn't mean it's not a real situation, guys. The internet isn't always real life, but sometimes it is very real life. And a lot of the time it's very real life. And you have to remember, he's not just a streamer you hate on the internet. He's an American citizen with a legal right to go and come. He has the right to express his opinion. He has the right to freedom of speech. He has rights. And so he's not just some guy you hate on the internet or love on the internet. He is you. He is possibly you, an American citizen traveling back and forth, and you will feel just as afraid as anyone else would being detained by people in uniforms who are asking you questions that make you feel like, why are you asking me this? Like, why are we having this conversation right now? So the reason we're watching we're not watching Hassan's stream directly is because I want you to understand that this is important, that this is bigger than you, me, and like your favorites on the internet, right? This is a big deal.
Now to this developing story that may be related to the Trump immigration policy. Popular left-wing Twitch streamer and YouTuber Hassan Piker says he was detained at a U.S. airport for hours this weekend and questioned by U.S. Customs and Border Protection about his political beliefs, specifically on Gaza and President Trump. Now, he posted about it on X saying, quote, "It wasn't that bad, but very strange experience overall, though." And Piker's post seems to have caught the attention of the Department of Homeland Security, who replied by saying, and I quote, lying for likes. Now, we reached out to the DHS for comment. They told us, and again, quote, "This is nothing but lying for likes." Hassan Piker joins us right now live. Hassan, let's start right there with the DHS's response. Lying for likes, calling it routine. What's your response to their response?
I find it really strange that they consider asking questions that are very specific about my political commentary in general, as it pertains to Israel-Palestine, but also specifically around my loyalty to the current administration and Donald Trump, as to be a part of a routine inspection. I don't know if this is the Department of Homeland Security admitting that this is now going to be a routine part of the process at the point of entry into the country for American citizens. Or I don't know what they're actually trying to say at all, because they did not deny that they actually detained me. They openly stated that they did that and also released me after questioning. And the thing that they actually omitted in that statement was the questions themselves, the questions that they had asked. And I think that's the main point of contention here.
And this all, like, the thing, I hate to say this, but one of the things that caught my attention, like, you have global entry, right? That's supposed to be the expedited line. Walk us through how all this happened, and has something like this ever happened before?
I mean, I've gotten the quadruple S on my boarding pass in the past, but the apprehension or the questioning process never actually escalated to the position that it got to this time around. This was my first time using Global Entry, as a matter of fact. I was coming back from France. I had gone to France with my family for Mother's Day. I had to come back early because I had a speaking engagement.
Which I do understand. Like the point we're making is that they're targeting prominent figures in a sense, in a way to like kind of, I don't know if it feels like a threat almost, like we'll even come for your favorites, but also remember not to do what Hassan did, right? You don't want to push back in any way. You don't want to in any way use your privilege as a way to see how far you can take it. Hassan said himself he's in a privileged position. So make sure that if this happens to you, you first do your research before traveling, but also just be calm, be stable, take deep breaths and get through it. But the point is that Hassan has resources. He is rich. He was in Paris for vacation. Like how many of us have ever done that, right? He is privileged. He can take his family to Paris for Mother's Day. Like he's in a position of power, and yet they picked him, right? So make sure you have people on call. Make sure people are waiting for you at the airport. Make sure you're not traveling solo with nobody knowing where you're going. And maybe even take a burner phone. Some people are suggesting it. Again, it's not about just being on social media. They can scan your phone for anything. And I have known people who have traveled internationally to different places, and people scanned their phones, saw their nude photos, saw their bank accounts, saw how much money they had. Like, I don't know if you know this, but they see everything. Like nothing is private on your phone. And that is a quote common practice in other places. I'm not saying it's not. It's the fact that it's happening to Americans on American soil. It's one thing for a foreign government to question a foreign person coming to their land. It's another thing for your own American government to check your phone as an American citizen and to be like, I don't think I like what I see on your phone. Excuse me? Like America, the way that we know it now, the way that I was raised in it, is we're allowed to voice our opinions. These conservatives brag about their free speech amendment, their Second Amendment. They're all about freedom, less government. But here you are searching people's phones. You already know Hassan's opinion. What is your point? And even if they did know who Hassan was and they just happened to target him, why are they asking him questions like that? That's even worse. It's even worse if they did know who Hassan was, because Hassan is saying, I think they knew who I was. They're saying, we didn't know who you were. That's even worse. You didn't even know who he was. Then why are you asking him these questions? That's the issue. Isn't that scary to you? Don't you think that's a little strange that if your mom or dad or your brother or sister or you were coming back from somewhere and then they were all of a sudden asking you who you voted for, why should that matter? What do you mean? What do you mean? How do I think? Like, what do you mean my opinion on the president? If any conservative was questioned under Obama, they would have thrown a fit. If any conservative was questioned like that under Biden, they should have a right to throw a fit, but they should have that energy for Hassan. We all should agree that no American citizen should be questioned about how they feel about the president when coming home. We have a right to dislike our leaders. That's kind of what makes us special.
The University of Chicago, and I got my picture taken at Global Entry. I walked in, and the Customs and Border Patrol agent at the gate told me to step aside and that another agent would be coming over to take me to a separate location. And I knew that this was most likely going to happen because I'd seen news reports about immigration attorneys being apprehended at the border and detained and questioned in a similar fashion. I had seen a TikToker talk about her own personal experience a week prior. She also had Global Entry. And basically, I knew what was up. I knew what was coming. I suspected this would most likely happen. And given that I have immense privilege being a public personality.
And true, Chet says he was in France. He interviewed a powerful socialist French politician in his hotel room with awful lighting. I do know that he was going for work. He's been doing it. He was just on the Daily Show. He was on like a bunch of shows this last week. So he's, that's very common for a person to go on tour and just see, like, go to show to show to show. So obviously Hassan is doing a lot of like traveling and work right now. So people, I think, have him on their radar. It feels obvious that he would be on their radar.
And also having enough financial security to potentially go through a long and arduous legal process, I wanted to see where this line of questioning would go, this line of inquiry would go, instead of immediately exercising my Fifth Amendment rights. And They took me to a detention area. I was surrounded by terrified families sitting on a bunch of pews.
And don't tell me you wouldn't be terrified. Every person I know who's ever been pulled over by a cop for a traffic ticket, frustrated and annoyed. Every person who's ever been detained at an airport or even had to do extra scanning, it's anxiety inducing. You get anxiety. You are afraid it's going to come back negative and you're going to have to fly back home. Don't act like it's not weird when uniformed people ask you to hold on a minute. That's why I'm so frustrated that we couldn't even come together on this one universal experience where we're all annoyed when we get pulled over. How is this controversial? Why are conservatives pretending like they haven't complained all of these years about being pulled over by cops? Okay? It's like this is what's crazy about people is like you are so determined to just be anything opposite of your quote enemy when you shouldn't even have enemies that we can't even agree on universal experiences. Nobody likes being pulled over. Not one person in the world's like, had a great day today, pulled over. Nobody likes it. Everybody hates it. It ruins everybody's day. And we couldn't even all agree on that.
And I asked around to see if any of them actually had American passports. People around me said they did not. There was an old lady in a wheelchair, and agents coming in and out of this other room with passports in hand, telling the people slowly but surely that they could leave, that they were cleared to leave. And then another agent came out and said my name. They walked me into this back room with these two metal stools. Everything was bolted down. I sat down on the chair that I assume is normally reserved for the lawyer on the corner. And in the process, they started asking me a bunch of questions. It was obvious. It felt like they knew who I was, given the line of questioning was very specific. It started off with like, what are you doing in Chicago? Things of that nature, pretty basic, boring stuff. And the more I revealed information, the more the agent kept repeating, well, since you said that, and acted like it was in line in the process of discovery that he was getting new information out of me. When he was be like, oh, you're.
And by the way, like when I came to Croatia for a visit, they do ask you at every airport, like, oh, what are you doing in town? What are you flying for? And even that question, even though it was so innocent, already you get anxiety. And maybe because I actually literally have been diagnosed with mild anxiety, but like you didn't even do anything wrong, and you feel like, oh my God, like I'm coming to see family, like I'm coming to see my fiance, I'm coming to see my partner, like it feels anxiety inducing every time they're like, hey, what are you doing here? It's like because you hear these horror stories and you always think like, oh, it's not going to happen to me until it does. And it's anxiety inducing. And so, there's a part of it where I really do appreciate people who are in uniform doing everything they can to show up with a smile on their face, being kind, de-escalating the situation, because it really, like, we really just are these like little intuitional, evolved animals over millions of years. Like, we have a right to feel on edge when we're around another person and we don't know what their intentions are. And so it makes sense that our body is just so nervous about the whole process, right? And so, it's one thing for them to ask like, oh, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you coming into the country for? And you're like, oh, vacation. And then another thing for them to be like, you need to follow me. You need to come to this separate room. And, it's not like you're like, hey, what am I being detained for? And they're like, it's protocol. It's like, okay. And then what's worse is, as an American, you watch all of this American media, all these movies where it's like, never go to the second location. And everyone who watches these movies is like, I would know when to fight back. I would know when people were arresting me unjustly. I would fight back. No, you can't. Because if you do fight back, now you're the crazy person. If you don't fight back, now you're the loser who didn't stand up for yourself. So then you just have to play nice with people. And everyone's like, why'd you escalate? I feel like you're the one escalating. The moment you come to me with a gun on your hip and in a uniform saying, don't ask questions, come to this room. I feel like that's the escalation point. And now it's still on us to de-escalate and to be, quote, the grown-ups in the room, even though we're the ones with no clue what's happening in a country that's supposed to be the freest, on the planet. You act like we're not all going to feel a little targeted when we're facing this stuff, Chet says, we know that their intentions are what their intentions are. They're trying to prevent criminal or dodgy people to get into countries. Habibi, with peace and love. Do you really believe that? Are you like 5 years old? Please be so for real right now. You really think they're just innocently trying to stop people from coming into the country and it never turns into something bad? You don't think people are going to abuse their status and power? You don't think there's a way to talk to somebody that doesn't help escalate things into a weird position? You do believe that? With peace and love. I mean, everyone gets to believe in Santa. You do you. You do you.
You're in Chicago for, you're delivering a speech. Well, since you said that, what do you do? Oh, you're a Twitch streamer. Since you said that, what kind of stuff do you do on Twitch? And, I told him I play video games. Sometimes I talk about drama. And
Chat, you said, I think the majority want to do their jobs. Yeah. So they also have to follow orders from people that might be corrupt. It doesn't matter what they want. What matters is they have to follow orders, and they will do whatever it takes to not piss off their boss. And that's the problem. So you can say with your, chest, I think most of these people are really good people who are trying. Most of these people have really corrupt bosses, and they are following orders. So I don't care if your intentions are good. You're the person in uniform with a gun making people feel nervous.
And basically, we arrived at questions about what my opinions were on Donald Trump. And I thought that was strange, but I was honest. At first I said, what does this have to do with anything? But then I told him I don't like Donald Trump. And after that, he asked me about my opinion on Israel and my opinion on what's going on in Gaza, and whether or not I found Hamas to be a resistance group and found the Houthis to be a resistance group. Did I like the Houthis? Did I like Hamas? Did I like Hezbollah? Very specific questions that you would only ask if you already were...
Yeah, I feel like why would they ask him this question unless they knew who he was?
Were familiar with my commentary, which is in normal circumstances in a completely academic setting, describing, the historic reasons for why resistance exists. So things of that nature. But it almost felt like he was trying to get something out of me.
Right. So it seemed clear to you that they knew who you were. Real quick, last question here. What do you think would have happened if you weren't a citizen?
Oh, I think if I wasn't a citizen, the process would not have gone down as smoothly as it did. I probably would not be allowed to enter the country, as we've seen reports on French researchers, for example, being stopped at the border and having ICE agents look through their phone to see if they've said something negative about Donald.
Hold on. Chet says, I'm not trying to downplay anything, but the way Hassan said it, the man asked those questions after Hassan described what his job was. Is there evidence this isn't business as usual? The fact that Hassan was taken to a second place, the fact that Hassan was pulled off into a separate room, so first check, second check, third check. The fact that Hassan, he said he was on vacation for his family, and then he said, oh, what are you doing in Chicago? And said, I'm here for work. The fact that you're even being questioned about what your job is, that's the point. Why are you questioning me about what my job is? What do you mean? Why are you making this so weird? He is an American citizen. This is very abnormal. This is not normal. This is not common. This is not expected. I've never heard an American who does business outside the country and coming back having to deal with this. Chet says his name is Hassan. Perhaps that's the red flag. Well, that's racism. That's the problem. As he's being targeted, that's the point of this whole situation. Hassan is being targeted for who he is, what his name is, what he may look like, what people perceive him to be. The misinformation I've seen from conservatives saying Hassan is a Turkish citizen and this was why he was pulled over or kept because he's not an American citizen. Hassan is an American citizen. He's a born American citizen. And by the way, he's an American. This is why Americans are so racist, because even if Hassan wasn't born here, he's still an American citizen. Okay, the fact that he was born here, that's why Trump wants to get rid of that, by the way. Trump wants to get rid of the idea that born in America is specific to being an American because of the way that you guys will go after Hassan for not being born here, as if that makes him less American. The whole point of being an American is you don't have to be born here. You get to come here. But of course, the other perk of being an American is you get to be born here and you are American. We are unique in every way, and they're doing everything possible to discount his attachment to America, to say that he is less American because he is also Turkish. That's the point. That's the point. And this is why I would laugh 5%, but not really because I'm not a bitch, that if my parents end up getting in trouble because they came here from Iraq 40 years ago, what? Because their name is Muslim? My dad is a Muslim name. You know what I'm saying? I've seen my relatives' names on lists associated with terrorist names. What? You're sitting here talking about, like, what's the big deal? This is a big deal. Half of my family is from Iraq. You think I'm not concerned that some of them are going to get maybe detained or in trouble? Or how about the fact that half of them had to change their names when they got here because half of you couldn't say them? My own mother changed her name when she got here because y'all couldn't say it. Okay? And then that way she wouldn't be picked on because America's racist. And the fact that my parents voted for MAGA, you know what I'm saying? We have some cognitive dissonance is real. It's a real phenomenon, bro. That doesn't mean I want to see them get hurt. It doesn't mean I want to see anybody get hurt. No one should feel scared because another human being is talking to them. And we should know this. We should know that they're going to feel scared. And it is up to us in positions of power to make sure people do not unnecessarily feel afraid.
Donald Trump, even within the context of Donald Trump taking away grants for academic research, any kind of negativity can be met with a border agent claiming that you are ineligible to enter the country. Non-citizens have significantly less rights than citizens do in this process. And it seems like even citizens are losing some of those rights as well.
Hassan Piker, we really appreciate you sharing your experience with us.
Thanks for watching.
Okay, so just an example of how people covered the story, right? There are other people that covered it, but I am worried about getting, or covered Hassan recently, like Jordan Klepper, but I'm afraid that I'm going to get in trouble if I try to show the Daily Show stuff. So I'm not going to show it to you, but I want you to know that we have to cover these stories. It's important. I want to show you one last clip because other streamers, of course, have had opinions. Other people have had opinions. And it is one of those things where it's not about having like perfect opinions. It's about universally being concerned, whether you're Republican, conservative, or leftist or socialist or whoever, that this is happening to people. And that's the problem. Just human to human. What are we doing? Why are you so excited to see somebody get in trouble for something they should never have been in trouble for? Here's Asman talking to his dad about Hassan.
The main problem that Hassan has got is that Zach's always got, between 15 to 30K more viewers than him.
See, my dad's being
every fucking day.
My dad's a viewer account, Andy. Start trying to talk shit. I never do this, right? Keep in mind, I never do this.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
You're being such an asshole. Anyway,
I know, I am.
Yeah, I know. You're being such an asshole.
I'm a Hassan follower. I've been a Hassan follower for years, and I have chat conversations with him and with Sean.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So. It's not like I'm his enemy. I'm kind of disappointed in him and going so far left, but
it is what it is.
Yeah, it's easy once you get on that slippery slope to go over the edge.
Yep.
And
all right.
And by the way, give the guy a break. Let him back in the country next time.
We did. They did.
Without being, grilled by the. He's probably beaten by truncheons and everything.
So he said, let Hassan back in the country, without having to go through some stuff, right? And Asman's like, we did. And because Asman and all these people, they do downplay the impact of what this means. Because one, they're probably, what I mean? I don't know how much they travel. I don't know if any of these people are travel-y people, right? And I get it, but they're not facing the same fears as Hassan. And that's the point we're trying to make. That ultimately we are not all having the same experience as people, but there are things that are universal. We feel afraid, we fall in love, we care about people, we can all cause harm. We might not have the same lived experience because of the way other people treat us and the way we treat people, but we are having a universal experience when it comes to feeling afraid when people in uniforms point you out, pull you out of a crowd, and decide you should be the people we pay attention to. Remember, if you guys have ever been in a social situation where you're hanging out and cops show up and they go, hey, I want to talk to you. Everyone around you is going to start to feel on edge. Is the person I'm with dangerous? And you're going to start to feel like, oh my God, what did I do? And then you can't do anything. The fact that Trump wants to make police officers immune from prosecution or whatever his dream is the worry everyone should have. Conservatives should be very concerned, right? That people in uniform are unable to be prosecuted in any capacity simply because they're cops. but simply because they have uniforms. This is why we shouldn't put we shouldn't put people in uniform on pedestals, because at the end of the day, you're just like me, bro. And the fact that they allow people with such big egos to put on that uniform and then to use it against American citizens is a part of the problem. And all I'm saying is this shouldn't be controversial. No matter who you are, we should agree. We don't want people in uniforms feeling entitled to killing us, controlling us, or arresting us just because they're wearing a uniform. And I feel like, you know, I feel so stupid that I even have to say it like that. Like, duh. But yet, here we are. Here we are, and people are arguing about whether or not you should just shut up and take it when another person decides you're the problem. Well, living in a country that taught us to be rebellious. America's so confusing. America's this country that's like a rebellious country that was rebellious against its originators, that literally is like, I want to do what I want when nobody can tell me what to do. But yet, here we are. Here we are, you know? Again, I understand that some people in chat want to give the benefit of the doubt to people. But I think you should reevaluate where that like maybe bias comes through. Because if you're imagining, well, if I was a cop, I would do this. If I was but you're not. And if you are, then you will know the bullshit around you. The same way that we keep telling you tales. We keep saying like, hey, there's a lot of bad corruption in the military. There's bad corruption in these police agencies. People are whistleblowing. They are telling you, and you're not listening. And you're thinking, well, if I was a cop, I'd be a good person. That's nice. The dilemma is that you can go in a good person, but if you keep following orders to do bad things, you're just a bad person with the belief that you're still a good person. If you follow orders in a uniform that are bad, you're just a bad person now. And you need to decide if you're going to keep being a bad person or if you're going to start becoming a better person. That's it. And I'm saying I can be empathetic and understand the pressure and understand the social, ganging up on, you're going to feel singled out if you don't do it, right? I understand. But I'm going to encourage you to get out of that position as quick as possible so you're not a bad person. Because look, you're not a bad person forever. But if you keep being a bad person, that's just what you are. And that's the problem. And I know philosophically no one's good or bad in the traditional sense, right? Because we're all these evolved animals over millions of years. But I'm saying you can still be a little less bad every day. All of us do bad every day. And I'm asking you to do 2% less every day, 1%, 0.5% even. And I'm not exempt from this. All of us do bad every day. We can only ever try to harm reduce. Okay? All right, let's end here and go to Noah because I want to know the update there. Man. Oh, girl. All right. So let me see. Let me pull it up here. So we've been kind of waiting for this, but Noah Samsen finally made a video talking about the Ethan Klein lawsuit. Just want to go over it with you, make sure we're all on the same page, because again, this isn't just about Noah. This is about all content creators. If other content creators are going to sue each other for having differing political opinions or feeling offended that we're organizing you or categorizing you in a way that you feel offensive, like telling a conservative they're homophobic for being anti-gay marriage, and they refuse to take on that label because in their mind it's not homophobia, it's just what's right. Well, we're running into bigger problems than just Ethan and Noah. So this is a bigger issue. This is about all of us.
Hey everyone, it's me, Noah, long time no see. Today I'm going to talk about being sued, or being threatened with a lawsuit at least. I haven't actually been sued yet. Ethan Klein and Mutahar from Some Ordinary Gamers have said that they plan on suing me for defamation. They're doing this in response to a video I posted in March called The YouTubers Who Backed a Genocide. I brought up these legal threats in another video of mine, but they decided to escalate things by paying a lawyer to write a cease and desist, which they sent to me in late March, and in it they ordered me to retract my video within 3 weeks or get my little ass sued. Ethan Klein went on to read the cease and desist on his live stream and repeat this threat over and over again on subsequent episodes.
He started his second video by saying, Ethan's threatened to sue me. It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
Oh.
Wait. I'm literally going to sue you for defamation.
Uh-oh.
Noah said in his second video, Ethan's threatening to sue me. Have fun with that, I guess, he said. Well, I'm about to have fun with it, and unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be having much fun with it.
He didn't respond to my video by his own admission. He just read what his lawyer wrote for him and then said that his full response would happen in court.
I know he wants me to respond to every point in his video, which I will do in a much more formal setting.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
And I can't wait for you. You know, you can do your cute little videos and all that kinds of business on your YouTube channel. But when it comes to, you know, I'd love to see you reason out in a court document about how I and Mutahar support genocide. I really look forward to that.
Despite all of the...
When you say Israel has the right to defend itself, that's a pro-genocidal propagandist talking point. Case closed.
The threats from these guys, as I said at the outset, I haven't been sued yet. It's been over 3 weeks since the retraction deadline, and as you may see on my channel, the video is still up. Here's a clip of the last time Ethan even mentioned it, which was over 2 weeks ago.
Noah Sampson, he has missed his deadline. Actually, Mutahar is in the chat. What did he say? Did you see that Noah's apparently moving out? Yeah, he's sorry, no video, been moving, etc. Video coming soon. It's amazing how nobody wants to respond to me. Everybody goes cold feet. If you're going to level an attack against me, the least you could...
Because with peace and love, my bro. Do you know why no one responds to you, Ethan? God, I should have had this ready. Girl, because when people do and they try to come to you with compassion and love and genuinely the most open-hearted message ever, you bombard, harass, and make it so they have to take their content down from the internet, because you literally do not create a safe enough space for people to express themselves or to retort to you without it being an escalation. This is Dr. Kirk Honda, who made an attempt to give insight into Ethan, but this video was taken down because he was harassed so severely. He even took down his TikTok and Instagram because Ethan fans came and harassed him.
Mental state is declining and declining and declining. His employees are maybe even encouraged by him to.
And Dr. Kirk Honda, for context, said this after the content cop that Ian did, because Ethan admitted he's going on snark websites and reading all about himself. Me, Joe Rogan, Dr. Kirk, Hassan, so many people say all the time, stop reading about yourself on the internet. Hassan said he took Twitter off of his phone because it was fucking with his mental health. I don't even have a Twitter anymore. Because I was like, this is messing with my mental health. Reading about myself on Reddit when people are so wrong about me messes with my mental health. You shouldn't be reading about yourself. And the fact that Ethan is doing that is all Dr. Kirk Honda is saying is like, hey, Ethan, anybody in this position who is reading thousands of messages about themselves would be mentally impaired. You're not crazy. You're human. Stop doing this to yourself. And Ethan said, I can't believe as a professional, you would say this. You would say that I was losing my mind. And then Ethan's viewers went for Dr. Kirk Honda, and some allegedly even said they were trying to report him to the board. Yeah, Dr. Kirk Honda is going to feel very scared and concerned. And keep in mind, Dr. Kirk Honda reviews celebrities all of the time, and none of them have an issue with him. If anything, most of those people reach out to Dr. Kirk Honda and end up coming on his show because they really appreciate the work he does. Only Ethan is the one who Dr. Kirk Honda was like so shocked that Ethan's reaction was so hostile. Okay?
To feed him everything, and maybe even especially the hatred, because that's what gives him fuel to talk about online. Well, that will do a number on your soul. It's going to affect you. It's going to infect you if you don't have a way of pushing back on it. So he gets more hurt, more angry, more fearful, and becomes more black and white thinking, more reactive. He starts to fight back. Initially, it's probably somewhat justified, maybe sometimes crossing the line. Then those people hear that and they attack back, and more random people are attacking, some of which are justified, but some of which is not. And then it creates this feedback loop where he gets funneled all that. He has no approach to pushing back. He gets more terrified, more worried, more convinced that the straw man is out there that he's built up in his mind. And he gets more worried, more terrified, more angry, more hostile. That's what he knows how to do. And he goes after them and has spontaneous reactions on his live streams and doesn't seem to have any approach to how to manage what he says other than
exactly
the button, right?
Except for the button. Exactly. Because what Ethan is doing is just everything every content creator always says not to do. Don't read comments, sit down, make sure you center yourself, and make sure you understand that no matter how much you say something the perfect way, people will hate you for it. And also, if you're open-minded enough, consider that the criticism against you might be warranted. And that's the dilemma is, look, if Ethan wants to double down on his position, double down. But he's not doing that. He's still upset that people don't see him as this progressive instead of just owning that you're not a progressive and you're like liberal. And get over it. Like, get over the fact that Democrats aren't progressive and just be okay with that. But he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be a dirty Democrat. He wants to be a righteous progressive without doing anything progressive in his life. It's like, girl, just own it and your mental health would be better. Conservatives have better mental health than Ethan Klein. Okay?
Could do is respond.
God, I love this, man. Why won't you play with me? Why does no one want to play with me? Come on. Ever since the retraction deadline passed, the ball has been in Ethan's court. Not responding to a cease and desist is a response on its own, right? According to these people, I'm still actively defaming them because my video is still public, so it's on them to do something about it. But again, aside from some beautiful bills, my mailbox remains empty. If you're wondering where I've been, there's a few reasons I haven't really been able to post much. I've had some personal things going on. I recently moved. I also got doxxed by a certain community of fans of a certain podcast, which I'll talk about in another video. But one of the things that I've been dealing with is preparing for the possibility of being sued. This was all new to me. I've never been sued and I've never sued anybody. So I had to spend some time and money learning about defamation law and talking to lawyers and free speech organizations. One thing I was definitely advised was to not post for a little while because, you know, anything said online would very likely be used against me in a potential lawsuit. Now, it is possible that these people might still sue me because rich people can do whatever they want, whenever they want, including sue whoever they want at any time for any reason. But it's worth noting that Ethan has also been a bit preoccupied in recent weeks, going beast mode in some live debates in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
What? You don't know what I'm talking about?
What is?
What? Yeah, it was on the list. You're lying.
Yeah. I got a free Rolex hat from a friend of mine. I still wear it every now and then.
Yeah, and you're so, oh wow, who knew? All right, listen, it's 5 o'clock. Like I said, I have a family to go to. I have 3 kids and a wife, and I know that you have a fucking cool ass race car bed to sleep in, and I hope you enjoy that.
Okay, man. Thank you. Have a good one.
And dealing with another very real defamation lawsuit that he's currently losing to a former billionaire, which is a thing that's actually happening right now. He could be on the hook for a lot of money, which is crazy. So maybe he's just busy and going to get around to it eventually. Personally, though, I don't think they're going to follow through with these threats for a few reasons, but the biggest one is just that they don't have a case. I think it's pretty clear that this cease and desist was sent to me with one goal, which was intimidation. It was an attempt to silence my criticism of these creators' genocide, apologia, and participation in baseless smear campaigns against pro-Palestine creators and movements.
All he has to do to avoid getting sued is apologize for everything he said and did, admit he was either lying or ignorant, and erase the video, and also just disgrace, like, and just accept the disgrace that is basically lying about 2 people being pro-genocide, which is one of the most twisted, fucked up things you can accuse someone of.
This sort of thing often works because most people just don't have the resources to deal with a lawsuit. In my case, I don't have the resources either, but what I do have is you, an audience of people that have been very vocally supportive of the potential for contributing to a legal fund. I'll be honest though, I would prefer it if they didn't sue me. Not because I think they have a case, nor because I don't think we can raise the money. It's just that I don't feel comfortable fundraising for legal fees right now, given the many better places that.
Interesting. So this is, okay, I find this interesting. What are your thoughts on Denim suing Ethan, guys? Because I thought Noah was going to do it and we were going to support Noah because Ethan hit first. But the fact that Denims is suing Ethan is like, so I don't get what's happening. Like, a part of me, I don't know if I should trust Denims or not. I don't know. The internet's too suspicious to me. But Noah felt like he was attacked first, so we should support. She dropped it for now? Didn't she just raise $40,000? What do you mean she dropped it? She refunded the money? Okay, good. Then I think that's good towards her character. Okay, that's better towards her character that she did that, I think, because I don't know why Denims, like, we can't get behind Denims. We can get behind Noah because he was a victim. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why Denims was, you know what I mean? I get that Ethan said things about her, but I don't want to escalate into YouTubers suing each other. That's why I don't like it. I didn't like Denims suing first because I'm like, hey, like, now you're setting a precedent that when people talk bad about you or even lie about you, that you can sue them. And this is going to be very messy for content creators in the future. We're going to have to PG our language so much, and we're going to all need lawyer teams. You guys have to understand, YouTube will not be YouTube forever if you keep treating it the way you're treating it. You know, that's what I mean. That's why it was so bad when Ethan in particular started going after YouTubers. So I'm glad that she refunded the money. But yeah, this should feel scary to people that are content creators. So if you're thinking about getting into content creation, be careful what your topic. I'm going to switch content to mukbangs at this point because everybody's just suing people, you know? So that's very frustrating to me, but I think better of Noah here to say, like, I'm not ready to fundraise yet. Like, I think that speaks to his character in general, because maybe it's not the time. And I know people were like, Hassan, you should do it. And even Hassan's like, no. Like, Hassan's like, I don't have to do it yet. Exactly. I think there's discernment here that I'm looking for. Do you know what I mean? Chet says Ethan accused Denims of a crime, calling CPS under false pretenses. Yeah, but Ethan isn't real. There's no consequence to Denims being accused of this legally. It's just the harassment on the internet, which everyone is facing. And that's not good. But the fact that she escalated is interesting. This is about discernment and wisdom. I'm not saying you don't have the right to defend yourself, but you must use discernment and wisdom when defending yourself, especially because it doesn't just impact her. It impacts the whole community. And Noah, by this statement alone, is considering the community. Hassan is considering the community. Ethan isn't. And by Denim starting that thing, I don't think she was either. But I'm glad that it sounds like she's maybe doing something different, which now I don't know why that would happen. I'm not up to date on it because now I'm confused why she did that. Chat says her Insta comments are all about the CPS still. Yes, Ethan's community is toxic. Yes, I 100%. I have a very strong stance on what YouTubers should do as retaliation for harassment, and none of it is going to court. Unless it escalates to a life-threatening situation, in which that would be different. Keep in mind that YouTubers have been sued by celebrities because of the way they gossip about celebrities. So be very careful, again, when it comes to free speech, when we are going after people for what they say and what opinions they have. Because remember, that's why we were mad at Ethan in the first place. Because why is Ethan going after people for saying their opinions? Why is Trump going after people for saying their opinions? We either get to say our opinions or we don't. If you can prove in court, though, that the opinion has escalated to stalking, harassment, or a direct death threat, then we can have conversations. I'm not supporting the harassment from the communities. I'm not supporting that. I've been harassed by Destiny's community, by all those debate bros on the YouTube. It gives me an incredible sense of anxiety, and I hate it. I hate every part of the harassment when it comes my way. But at the same time, I don't know a better solution, and I'm waiting for the wisdom to know what the better solution is that doesn't land us in court because we didn't like what other people said about us. We should be having conversations about not weaponizing our communities. We should be having conversations about how to de-escalate this tension. We should be having conversations about how YouTubers themselves are partially responsible for how their communities react. And we should be taking that into consideration, that a lot of these YouTubers are participating in escalation, whether we like it or not. And whether or not you think it's deserved. But I do think there's a lack of wisdom here, you know?
Money could go, like aid for the people being subjected to this ongoing genocide. Seeing as they haven't sued me yet, that's what we're going to do. That's what this video is for. It's a fundraising video. I started a fundraiser for UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. The donation link is in the description. I'll also be hosting a fundraising live stream with some special guests and some gaming and hanging out and other things of the sort, which will start on Saturday, May 17th at 2 p.m. Pacific time and probably go for a few days. I don't usually stream, but I'm thinking of playing some games.
I'm going to put the fundraiser in the chat.
Maybe set up an air mattress and do a sleeping stream. I've seen that before. It looks fun. I've set the goal at $200,000 because that's what I was actually quoted as being a safe amount to fundraise in order to be able to afford a potential prolonged legal battle against Ethan and Mutahar, which is crazy, right? That's a lot of money. But I was also thinking we could show them that that's a figure we can achieve if we need to. And instead of it going to a lawyer for some bullshit YouTuber lawsuit, it would go to Gaza. If these guys actually do decide to to sue me though. In terms of the actual lawsuit, again, I'm not too worried. I told the truth and said what I believed, and I'm prepared to defend it in court should it make it that far. If that does happen, I'll just do another fundraiser, I guess, and then we can donate whatever we don't use once the case gets dropped. It could be a little or it could be a lot. That all depends on how long these guys want to drag this out. I want to talk a bit more about the case, the cease and desist, and a few other things. But first, we need to do a sponsor break. I got to do sponsors because my videos get demonetized and I don't post that much. Support me on Patreon if you want to stop.
It's true. A lot of our videos get demonetized, but you should support Noah.
Stop seeing them.
If you like him. I'm not advocating for Noah because I don't know him like that, but his work is good.
Thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. Delete Me is a data removal service that makes securing your online privacy simple, affordable, and effective. Your personal data is being sold online by data brokers. Anyone can buy them, which means you're potentially at risk of being harassed, doxxed, or attacked.
Thank you so much for future May Queen joining memberships, guys. Thank you for being here. I just muted Noah's ad, but I think you should go check it out if that's something you're interested in doing. YouTubers got to pay their bills, you know.
And more. The process is really simple. First, you'll fill out a search removal form. Then once you pay securely, Delete Me will begin the process immediately. You can also request custom removals by sending specific links and run online scans to self-select the data that you want removed. I've used and trust Delete Me because as an online public figure, it's obvious.
And by the way, one of the tactics I used when I was being harassed by a Destiny's community is I just blocked everybody. And it did ruin my algorithm for a while. Like my videos were considered like not engaged with, but I just blocked everybody. And it eventually stops because the users who would take the time to harass people eventually got bored. And if they make new accounts, I just block people. Like it's okay to have, you know, intense opinions, but because it helps the algorithm like push out my videos. And there is a dilemma to it. When you block people's comments, it ruins your chance of your videos getting pushed out to people. So for a short time, I did punish my own channel so I wouldn't have to wake up every day to kill yourself messages. But at the end of the day, like you can't be writing kill yourself messages on my videos, you know? So all these communities that are being harassed, permanently ban usernames, okay? Slow down your algorithm for a second. And then eventually they'll get bored. Because remember, they're just lonely people at home who will eventually get bored. And God forbid one of them actually is a threat to your life, because that is a possibility, right? At the end of the day, like you won't know through a comment section, you know? And so again, I don't like escalating these situations because I do find that it is real life. Eventually it will come to real life. And we should be very worried about that. We should be very worried that online spats are coming to our front doors. And that includes people who came to Ethan's front door by sending, you know, skulls to his house. We should be concerned that it's getting escalated. And that's why we cannot participate in the escalation. And no matter how you participate in the escalation, you can still be a victim of a crime. Remember not to victim blame through this process, but to remember that discernment and wisdom forces you to consider your participation in the escalation and how you yourself can make different decisions to avoid situations like this. Not always, not perfectly, but it's about harm reduction. And Ethan could use some harm reduction in his life, okay?
Obviously a helpful option to have, but I think those benefits also extend to anyone with any sort of online presence, which is most people. Take control of your digital footprint today and protect your personal data with Delete Me, your trusted partner in online.
Chet said, I don't think skulls were sent to his house. I highly doubt it. I don't know. And that's the problem. I don't know. I just know the FBI is involved and that should matter. I don't know though. And that's the problem. I'm not going to pretend like I know. I wasn't there. I don't know. So I'm just going to assume it happened. It's the internet. The internet's a crazy place, right? I don't know why we're pretending it's not. Christina Grimmie was killed by a fan, right? Like it happens. Okay. So remember, it might not be an Ethan hater who's going for him. It might be a fan. Christina Grimmie was killed by one of her fans. A lot of the time your stalkers are fans. They're not people who hate you. They're people that love you. So remember, be very cautious. Okay.
Online privacy. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/Samson and use my promo code Samson at checkout. All right, now let's get back to the video. Okay, so about that defamation case, it really seems like none of the people that are supporting or promoting this lawsuit have any clue what defamation actually is. So I want to go over that very briefly.
Calling somebody a supporter of a genocide is a very different thing than saying somebody's career is cooked or saying that somebody fell off.
Asmin, genuinely, So he should be careful here.
Or making
He's not one to talk, you know?
a video about an internet drama. One of them is a real legitimate thing where people are bad. And the fact is that this is totally different than just a drama slop thing. This is completely different.
For someone to be found liable for defamation, there's a few bars that need to be reached. First, the plaintiff must establish that the allegedly defamatory claim is a statement of fact. Next, that statement of fact must be provably false. It also must have caused demonstrable damages to the plaintiff's finances or reputation. And lastly, the statement has to have been made with actual malice. Actual malice is a legal standard. It's the highest legal standard for defamation claims, and it's only applied to public figures. Basically, it means that the defamatory statements have to be proven to have been made with the existing knowledge that these statements were false. Now, the first hurdle of Ethan and Mutahar's lawsuit threat is establishing that claim 1, that they backed the genocide, evidenced by my video's title and thumbnail, is a provably false statement of fact. They immediately fail here, though, because it's not a statement of fact, it's an opinion. It's the conclusion of the arguments and evidence I presented in my video. In defamation cases, when distinguishing between opinion and fact, the broader context of where the statements were made must be considered. In the cease and desist, the lawyer they paid to—
And by the way, I just want to make it abundantly clear, it would never have been wrong for Ethan to simply make videos about Noah. If Ethan saw this video and was like, what the fuck is this? I'm offended. And then Ethan meant to make content about Noah, that would have been fine. That's actually what old school YouTube used to be. Is you'd make a video, then someone else would make a video, then you make a video, and then you guys would actually converse via the video responses. That's kind of what Ryan Beard does on their channel. Is like, it's so old school YouTube. But like, that would have been fine. That would have been discourse. But I can understand. Do you remember when I covered Think Before You Can Sleep? I hate that channel, PS. And remember he went after Alyssa? And remember that she flagged his video, which I do think was the wrong thing to do because his video was fine within itself. The issue wasn't the video, even though I think the video was horrible. Like, I need you to understand the video and the opinions in it, trash, garbage, absolutely trash. But the issue at hand wasn't that he made a video about a content creator. The issue is that his audience harassed Alyssa. His audience bombarded her comments. They also bombarded my comments. Okay. And I want to make it clear, like, I can still, I think it's the YouTuber, it's the audience they bring in. All these angry boys who have the time to go to other people's videos and just write the most horrendous shit on it. Think Before You Sleep was too stupid to realize he had no opinion on Alyssa's video and should never have made his video in the first place. But that's what he does. He makes slop. He makes stupid videos from a conservative perspective about things he doesn't know what he's talking about. Alyssa made a cute video about her own experience as a person. Okay, as an autistic queen, for the record. And it was a great video. And it had nothing to do with Think Before You Sleep's fucking perspective. But Think Before You Sleep decided to make a video about it. Fine. There was nothing wrong with that. I mean, it was something, it was kind of wrong because he was too stupid to know that. Anyways, his audience was the issue. And ultimately, he needs to put his audience in their corner. Okay? He needs to say to his audience, hey, you are making my job harder by harassing people. You need to let me do my job and leave your comments in my video. Stop going to Alyssa's video. But he didn't do that. Not enough, not aggressively. And you know why? Because it still happened by the thousands. Thousands of comments on her video. Hundreds of comments on my videos. And that's the problem. No one wants accountability for the shitty part of their audiences, but when so many of your audience, like thousands of people, are going over to somebody else's video, this is a problem. Now, to be fair, I think all of the streamer bubbles are incredibly immature, and I think all of them are big adults with lots of money and none of the discernment or wisdom. And I think I was a part of that bubble. I'm trying to get out of it. It's hard because you want to be in the conversations, but nobody's having a real conversation. I think that's why I appreciate FD Signifier having boundaries, or even the way Noah conducts himself. I appreciate that there's a way to have these conversations without hopefully sending each other's audiences after each other. But I am frustrated. I think we should all feel frustrated that none of us are grown up enough in the room to have a real conversation about anything that's happening. That when Sam Cedar tries to have a real conversation with Ethan, Ethan goes, man, this turned hostile. Bro, you were just called out by another person who said it's not anti-Semitism. And you couldn't handle it for 2 seconds. These are very contentious issues. These are serious issues. People are being genocided, and we're sitting here making content like it's not a big deal. You guys are playing with people's lives like it's not a big deal. Actually, hold on. Let me show you this TikTok because I think Chris said it the best. Because my stream stopped. Wait, am I here? No, I am here. Ooh, my video was like, stream stopped. Okay, hold on. This is the problem with online content creation, okay? This is the problem with the way that we're having these very serious conversations.
I'm gonna say it. Just because you see images of dead children, as disgusting and frustrating and upsetting as it is, does not automatically make a war unjust.
I'm gonna say it. Just because you are getting the bag in and you are receiving crumbs of attention on the internet for spreading your abhorrent propaganda does not make it acceptable. Because in this video, this person basically admits that they work for the Israeli government.
And for the last 4 years, I've worked in some capacity for my full-time job in the Israel education advocacy space.
They say that they've been working within the Israel advocacy space, but you only have 30,000 followers. You're not generating your own income. You are being paid by the Israeli government, or at least an NGO or an organization that is adjacent to it. And you sit there and act as if it is the photos and images on the internet that are made to manipulate people's emotions, rather than the fact that the state that you support is currently paying people like you, white Westerners who appeal to people's Christianity, to spread nonsense like this so that Israel can commit crimes. It is in no way normal or acceptable to go on the internet every day and make rubbish like this so you can support a state which is currently starving 2 million people, which is currently trying to wipe away 2 million people's history and culture with the express goal of expelling them and never allowing them to return to their own lands. She says that she's getting a master's degree in genocide studies, but how dare you make videos like this if you really are? Because surely you must see that there are an incredible amount of experts who are referring to what Israel is doing as genocide. And under the vast majority of definitions, even Raphael Lemkin, the man who coined its definition, that Israel is perpetrating genocide. This is shameful, disgusting behavior.
Very typical in conservative spaces, very typical in the bubble I grew up in, very typical in a lot of spaces where people are like, sometimes you got to go to war. Sometimes you got to defend your country by killing other people's kids. And that's why I want to have a serious conversation with somebody. Is nobody problem solving past the violence, or no, we're all just going to keep talking about how we have to kill people? I'd really like to get to the point where we're not killing people, right? That'd be really awesome. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I think we can always work for the future for it to be less of the focus, less normalized. It's too normalized at this point. And then that's why I think I get frustrated with humans for saying like, oh, I'm so smart, I'm so mature. You're literally advocating for a genocide. You're even bringing violence into the conversation like it's okay. It should be a last resort situation and not the first. And this is the problem. We keep making it the first solution. It's not a solution to the problem we're facing. It's just not. Okay. Let's go back to Noah.
To write it for them chose to ignore this broader context, opting instead to single out one word in the video's title, the word backed, characterize that word using one definition from a single source, and then argue that that word, solely using the definition they've interpreted it to mean, is a statement of fact and also a false one. And not only that, but this falsehood is one that I lied about maliciously. When evaluating defamation claims, headlines are not typically treated as statements of fact when the articles themselves explain how this conclusion was reached. That's what my video was for. It was an hour long. I know for a fact that Ethan accused me of defaming him before he'd even watched it, based on the title and the thumbnail alone. If I had to guess, I would say that the decision to threaten a lawsuit came from this knee-jerk reaction to my video's title and thumbnail, and that knee-jerk reaction was never re-examined because it didn't need to be. Ethan has money and time and no one in his life that is willing to challenge him on something like this, especially not his lawyer who he is paying. So whatever he thinks and says is truth. So how do they go about trying to prove?
And by the way, Chad, I think you are right. You said content creators also model the appropriate behavior for their audience, like parenting. You don't have control, but you have influence. When they act horribly, their audience will do the same. I agree. And that's all I'm saying. I'm saying, look, you can't be responsible for every single person in your audience. But if the reputation of you as a content creator is people are afraid to say anything against you because your audience will harass them and dox them, that's on you. That is like, you need to do something drastic. And that's why Ethan originally went more left, because he noticed his audience as a whole was right-winged and Nazi adjacent. And he's like, hey, I got to change something. But it's crazy that now he's like, I don't have to change anything I'm doing, even though his audience is ruthlessly bullying and harassing people on the internet. Interesting.
Prove this claim of defamation. Well, it's pretty interesting. They actually go with the "no, I didn't" defense. They essentially claim, we couldn't have possibly supported a genocide because elsewhere we have said that we don't. We said that genocide is bad, so we are exempt from any criticism for any other things we may have said that do actually support a genocide. For this point, one of the quotes that they cite is Mutahar saying, "I'm not afraid to say that genocide is wrong." Wow, how brave of you, Mutahar. Aside from that being just false, Mutahar stayed silent on Gaza throughout the entirety of the genocide until it was time to join his friends on a Hassan bad smear campaign. If that's not fear, I don't know what you'd call it other than, I guess, cowardice. But even if it were true, it wouldn't matter. Pointing to examples of lip service doesn't just cancel out other things you've said. Like if someone says that they killed someone and then later says that they didn't, it's not defamation to talk about the first statement without quoting the latter. I didn't think that defense would end up being used by an actual lawyer, but it did. And that's hilarious. Their lawyer is aware of that too, of how unserious this is, as evidenced by his total lack of citations for any case law in this section. This whole claim, the one that's supposed to be the most prominent one, is just blank. And that's because there is no legal precedent for the "no, I didn't" defense. They're just completely going off vibes. The rest of the cease and desist is just sort of funny to read. A lot of it is them saying, "Your Honor, he clip-chimped me. Your Honor, he literally didn't even watch the video." They spend like 3 pages attempting to debunk a bad empanada.
No, it has a correction that says 6 pages.
The USA, because I cited it, which is just sort of awesome. It's been said plenty of times already, by Bad Empanada included, but you can't litigate a historical argument in civil court. That's not what civil court is for, and that's not what defamation is. There's one part in the letter where, in an attempt to evidence my malicious intent, their lawyer cites the disparity.
Hold on. Chad says, Brittany, do you think people who criticize Israel but disagree with some pro-Palestinian advocacy deserve leniency, or are they the same as the people who full-throated defend Israel in their actions? I saw a movie once. I don't know if you guys know what it's called. Garrett Hedlund, I think, is in there, or some white boy with blonde hair that looks like Garrett. I think it's Garrett Hedlund. And it's about these like 3 brothers, or no, 2 brothers and a dad, something like that, in the segregated South or something. It's been like 10 years since I saw it. Okay. And the youngest son is friends with the black person. Woo, whoa, brave. Am I bravery in the chat? So brave. Okay. And his dad is a super racist, and his brother is like somewhere in the middle. And there's a scene where they're at a grocery store, and a black person walks through the front door, and the dad's like, slur, get to the back or something, like you shouldn't be entering through the front door. The oldest son is like, hey, like you got to enter through the back door. And the youngest son is definitely like, why should he have to enter through the back door? So when we talk about, leniency or like who's as bad as the other, I can appreciate an acknowledgement of how people learn and there's a spectrum. But please note that the older son, who was nicer in the way he asked the black individual to enter into the back, okay, still racist. Okay. Just because he was nicer about it, just because he wasn't as racist as his dad. Okay. So, and at the end of the day, like, if you create a system or a situation that ends up being a racist outcome, it's still it doesn't matter. If you create a system like Ethan is, or a situation where Ethan is, a framework where no matter what Ethan says, it ends up just supporting Israeli propaganda and an excuse for them to genocide the Palestinians, then it doesn't matter how pro-Palestine you are. Like, you can say you're pro-Palestine, but your actions contribute to the genocide of Palestinians more than it helps them. When I went through therapy, my therapist made me do a pros and cons list, right? She was sat there and said, let's not make a decision today, but let's make a pros and cons list. Is this action more harm or less harm? And we picked options that included less harm and more of a progressive outcome, right? Moving forward, progressive, right? So your intentions are taken into account, but I kind of need to see the aftermath. again, I go back to this argumentation because it's the most digestible for a lot of us. Lots of liberals, lots of Democrats are pro-trans rights. But the moment their kid comes out as trans, now they're like, are you sure? Should we go to a therapist? This isn't the person I raised. I didn't have a boy. I had a girl. You know what I mean? So you can say you're pro-trans rights, but if your kid doesn't feel safe enough to come out to you, you're just like a little less transphobic, but you're still transphobic. Okay? And I appreciate you being less racist and less transphobic and less pro-genocide. But when it comes down to it, and right now we have got to be black and white about this, anyone supporting the genocide is bad. We cannot be supporting genocide. This isn't a time to play who's who. You know, in a philosophy bubble, sure, we can spend time because all of us have the privilege to do that. But right now, as we talk and as we create YouTube videos about each other, Palestinians are being starved, targeted, genocided. And this is just one of the genocides happening right now on the planet. So, yeah, should we be more lenient? I think you should be more introspective. I think instead of asking us to be more lenient, you should be more introspective and extrospective and really deconstruct why you're even slightly sounding like you're pro-Israeli or in this situation in any way fighting with pro-Palestinian advocacy right now. Sure, be upset in your own home where no one can hear you about how frustrated you are at some pro-Palestinian advocacy. But in public, that is not going to help the cause because they will use your words to make all Palestinian protesters look bad. So if you care about Palestinians, you can voice your frustration in private. Okay?
In the view counts of my videos accusing me of the legal violation of clout farming. This statement demonstrates that you intended to not just have third parties spread defamatory statements about Ethan, but profit from those defamatory statements. You proved this point yourself when your video entitled Manufacturing Consent for Genocide failed to receive many views, particularly in comparison to the first defamatory video. You made the second defamatory video to further profit from your defamatory statements about Ethan. Your Honor, Noah fell off and tried to climb back to relevance by putting my client's name in his mouth. I encourage people to make videos about Ethan because I think the things he's saying are harmful. I think he's spreading pro-Israel propaganda talking points during Israel's active genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza. And so far, that's been happening. People are making videos and more people are being exposed to the arguments against these ideas that I think are harmful. Their assumption here, though, that these videos could only have been made for nefarious, self-interested aims, that's just pure projection. I think. For these guys, everything is about views and internet fame. You know, everyone is cynical and self-interested, and no one actually believes the things that they say insofar as those beliefs are able to get eyes on their content. There's no way you could be criticizing someone based on any sort of genuine political motive. No, you must just be wanting to jump in on the dog pile, to cash in and grow an audience of snarkers that are there not because they're against genocidal propaganda, but simply because they don't like you. For no reason. Even when you're being a perfect little angel.
They literally put fucking command centers under hospitals. There was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 900,000 Jews were forced choice, but because they were forced out. The vast majority went to fucking Arabs.
Maybe it's just because they're anti-Semitic. That's probably it. They're probably all anti-Semitic. Anyone that doesn't like me is anti-Semitic. Ethan, through his lawyer, ascribes all of that to me because that's who he is. But, you know, not everyone is like that. Some people just don't like it when you use genocidal talking points because they don't like genocide. And for them, that's a good enough reason on its own.
Guys, brave take in the chat, don't like genocide. Wow. Woo!
To make a YouTube video. What I also like about this one is that, you know, to argue that I'm self-interested, they cite a video I made knowing full well that it would get shadow banned and demonetized, which it did. If I just wanted views and money, I would not have made that video. To be frank, the reason I made that video was on a pretty simple basic principle, which is being against genocide. And that principle manifests itself in me wanting more people to know about how the media is normalizing this genocide. That same principle is why I made the videos about these guys. It just so happens that when YouTubers are in the thumbnail, more people click.
1 million views, 142,000 views versus 600,000 views. Yeah, the views are intensely different.
On the video. Ethan is aware of this phenomenon, obviously. He's used it for me and many others. It is unfortunate that more people care about what their favorite e-celebs have to say about each other than an active genocide, but that's the frame of reality we're working within on the internet. And I don't know, I think people are doing what they can.
And that's not just us. I really need to make this clear to people. It's also the news. That's why Fox News is an entertainment network. That's why the news becomes like reality TV. That's why real journalism feels so hard to find, because even news outlets know the way to get your attention is to sensationalize it. And that's why I say, guys, I know you keep thinking and people keep saying like, we don't want that though. We don't want that. But you do. I know no matter how much you say it, the numbers are the numbers. The numbers. And this is why dirty little capitalists will say, well, people want it. They're speaking with their dollar. Y'all speak with your attention. And that's just the truth. And this is where we have to deconstruct. This is where we owe it to ourselves, if you want to examine the self and say, who do I give my time to? You know, if you're giving your time to both and everything, that's great. But most people aren't doing that. Most people aren't doing that. The numbers are the numbers. Math doesn't lie. Math is the math. And the math is what it is. And that's what I pay attention to too. As much as people say like, this is an example I used the other day if you didn't see it, but I was watching a foodie channel with my partner and the guy was eating vegan food and he was frustrated that vegans keep saying it's a hamburger when it's not a hamburger. He's like, just say it's tofu. But people don't buy it if they just say it's tofu. He said he would though, but he wouldn't because he's not the person. Like human beings want things that are familiar to them. We are psychological beings. This idea of free will is so limited. You think you have free will. You think you know why you're clicking on a video. You think you know why you're eating the food you're eating. You think you know why you have the friends you do. But until you deconstruct, until you really understand why you've chosen this food and this hairstyle and this music, until you really accept that some of the things you are doing are not in any way free will, they are just a part of your biological experience, you won't be able to admit that you are absolutely participating in this group project we call life and society. And it is failing because of you as much as it is failing as much because of anybody else. We are failing this together for a reason. It doesn't say much when you yourself say, oh, well, I didn't do this. I didn't participate. I could name you every way that I have participated in harm in society. I could make a list of all the ways that I have from beginning of my life to now for the last 36 years have absolutely contributed harm to society unintentionally because I thought I was doing the good thing, because I thought I was just simply a good person, because I thought, hey, I'm a good person. And then I realized, oh, shit. The road to hell really is paved in good intentions. So remember, this issue we're having online, using content creators to have larger conversations. I do it too with my work because nobody wants to fucking watch a philosopher, guys. I've been watching a lot of Michael, why can't I never remember his name? From Wisecrack, formerly known as Wisecrack. I've been watching a lot of his videos and like philosophy channels, nobody cares. You have to be autistic like I am and have a special interest in philosophy to care. So how do we bring more viewers to my channel? By talking about the things that people do want to talk about, which is their favorite e-celebrities. And then I use that to bring philosophy into the conversation, philosophy through pop culture, to get people to think about their lives and do a little bit less harm every day. Okay? And that's the reality we face, but it is not unique to YouTube. It also exists in everything else. I know, Chet says Wisecrack died, I'm bummed. And why did it die? Because there wasn't enough money in the content. And that sucks. That sucks. Michael Burns, thank you. I just got it. Michael Burns. That's why it sucks that Wisecrack wasn't making enough money. Because it wasn't sensational enough. It wasn't what people, they made great videos. But it wasn't making enough money. And it was sold to a company, and the company was like, we have to lay you all off. That sucks. That sucks. I hate that. I hate every part of that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And this is why YouTubers do, this is why streamers stream every single day, so they can talk about trending topics every day. I burn out. Personally, I wish I could do that, but I'm not built that way. I literally crash and burn. To be fair, I'm chronically ill. But like I wish I could do that. I would be more popular. I would be more rich. I would be more, but I can't stay on top of every trending topic. I burn out. And that's why the boys who can do it, the girls who can do it, they are making a lot of more money. But a lot of us can't. Michael Burns was just saying that too. Like him and CJ the X, they were just saying like they can't stay on top of every trending topic. But they also understand that comes with like less money or less access. So you have to do it in different ways. So, you know, this isn't just a YouTube specific problem. Everyone runs into this dilemma.
and to try to change that, or at least use it for positive goals, like getting more people to learn about the genocide. And to an extent, for some people, this seemed to work. I got a lot of comments saying they hadn't heard about what's happening in Gaza or about how bad things actually.
And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you right now, somebody said it when we were reviewing the Hassan Piker detained. Not everybody knows about Palestine. Like, I know that sounds crazy because you're thinking, come on, everybody knows it's happening. No. You would be shocked how many grown-ups have no idea what's happening. In the same way, you probably have no idea what's happening in the Congo or Rwanda or in Haiti right now. Yeah, in the same way, you probably don't know what's going on everywhere else. Or how about India and Pakistan? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody knows. That's why we all live in bubbles. We think we know what's happening in the whole world because our bubble makes us feel like we're really informed. We know nothing. We know nothing. And that's why we need humility.
Were until that video was recommended to them. And for most people, the only reason it was recommended to them is because I framed it around what some guys on the internet think about it. That was what I'd hoped would happen. Believe me or don't, it doesn't matter. What matters is that factually, some people learned about the genocide and they wouldn't have learned about it if I hadn't used these creators as examples. And the same is true for creators like Bad Empanada or Overzealots or Chris Kunzler and more, and anyone else that wants to join in and use the algorithm for good. And they certainly wouldn't have learned about the genocide from any of these creators themselves, because despite their claims to caring about it,
I've been a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause for many years.
None of them ever talk about it at all, aside from when they're, basically smearing its opponents and running cover for the country that's committing it.
They literally put fucking command centers under hospitals.
Outside of that, silence. As an aside, I think it's still open to debate as to whether or not this tactic is worth it. Like, is it worth the trade-off to get this information in front of more people when the conversation can so quickly turn from the issues and into creator drama? In this latest chapter, I don't think it was. Granted, I didn't really expect that these people would be petty enough or dumb enough to actually sue me or threaten to, but I probably should have, so that's on me. That debate, though, is open only to people that actually care about and talk about the genocide. Not you, or any of your freak show fan bases. As far as that first group of people goes, the people whose input I care about, they have been mostly supportive of these efforts. Do whatever you can to get the word out to as many people as possible. That's the feedback I've been getting, so that's what I've been trying to do. But again, that might not always be the case, and that is subject to change. Aside from the cease and desist being, a joke, the other main reason I'm down to clown in court is because Ethan keeps proving my point over and over again. Like, every day that passes and every time he opens his mouth on his show, he continually proves that my allegedly defamatory claim that he is backing a genocide is actually very correct. In the very stream he was supposed to be disproving the assertion that he supports genocide, he brought out the most explicit IDF talking points he'd used to date.
I feel like this is a force that's going to help end the war, not fucking keeping hostages and underground and like sending, just continuing to provoke Israel to attack them.
Oh, is that what's happening? Are the Palestinians just provoking Israel? See how they victim blame? See how Israel gets to act innocent at this whole thing? And no matter what Palestinians do, it's always their fault.
And putting fucking like military complexes under hospitals. They literally put fucking command centers under hospitals.
The talking point he's using there, that Hamas builds command and control centers under hospitals, has been Israel's primary justification for the systematic destruction.
Which is why I said you can't bomb hospitals just because there's a terrorist there. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't feel emboldened to kill people because they've killed people. We shouldn't be killing people because they've killed people. But that's what people do. That's why the death penalty is a thing that's heavily argued. I don't think we should kill people because they killed people. Okay? Unless you're in a direct self-defense situation, okay? That's when we can have conversations. I don't believe in vigilante justice. I don't believe in any of that. And not even legally through a system. I can explain to you why it happens, but I'm not excited by it. I'm disappointed that humans still haven't evolved to a point of like not needing to do this to each other. But we're not there yet. Because one, we're all arguing about why we're even on the planet in the first place. And two, half the world thinks God created them. You don't think that's going to be an issue, which we'll cover right after this, about Charlie Kirk talking about objective morality and then bringing up God?
Of Gaza's healthcare infrastructure for over 19 months now. That talking point is a justification for one of the key elements of Israel's approach to genocide. It's genocidal propaganda. There's no other way to put it. He is sharing genocidal propaganda to millions of people. A few episodes later,
Chad says, do they put command centers under hospitals? I don't know. I'm not there. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't trust groups of men to tell the truth. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't matter. Even if they were, it doesn't matter. But I don't even know if that's happening. They're acting like it matters if it's true. It doesn't even matter if it's true.
Ethan and his wife Hila downplayed Israel's mass targeted assassinations of journalists by claiming that the IDF doesn't do that.
It's not like Israel that is worried. Look, it's not like Israel's going to do a precision strike on Hassan. They don't fucking.
Yeah,
but it is dangerous. It's a war zone. Like I agree, it's dangerous.
It's a war zone. I don't think you guys understand Israel. It doesn't work like that.
They're not.
Yes, they do. They do that more than anyone ever, actually. It's the last possible group of people on Earth that you could claim doesn't intentionally target journalists. This is just pure misinformation that is used to run cover for Israel as it commits a genocide, a major factor of which is limiting people's exposure to the atrocities they are committing. And the most direct way they can do that is by assassinating journalists over and over and over and over.
So many journalists.
Again, a couple weeks ago, in a debate with Sam Cedar, Ethan continued to expose himself as a propagandist for Israel's genocide. He repeatedly blamed Palestinian resistance for Israel's genocidal actions in Gaza.
They could have done that. They could have ended it after a week.
I mean, Hamas could have ended the war anytime too.
How could have Hamas ended the war?
By releasing the hostages?
No, listen. Israel has said time and time again that the release of the hostages is not going to end their assault on Gaza. They have said this over
I don't believe
and
that's
over and over.
I haven't seen those statements. I've seen the opposite.
At any time, they could have done that.
Well, what has Hamas done to end the war?
Rudy was saying that Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill Americans.
Palestinians are taught to kill us at 2 years old.
That's pretty spicy.
Yeah.
Do we have that one?
Like Kamala.
Hassan was killed in an Israeli airstrike on this camp here. I can't say its name. He was 14 years old. Hassan started singing with his father years before the genocide started. A song tied to Israel's 1982 invasion of Beirut that they adapted to describe Gaza. His father said Hassan was his soul. Hassan was my only child. Hassan was more than a son, a child, and a friend. He was more than anything. Israel has been escalating its attacks on Gaza, which includes the hospital bombing that just happened. The last 24 hours, 80 people dead. Since officially breaking the ceasefire deal March 18th. Israeli forces have killed nearly 2,400 Palestinians in Gaza since ending the temporary truce in March. Since March, 2,400 people have died. Since March. Said, we are Palestinians, we are not terrorists. We are the rightful owners and want to take back our homes. Okay? This was our last game with us, my friend. This is a different group of children, okay? So this is a different group of kids. Their friend died. This was the last game we played with the boys. And now you're gone. May God have mercy on you. Okay? So just a reminder, as we're having these conversations, okay, and Ethan Klein goes, how am I not pro-Palestinian? Well, you literally say things like Israel has the right to defend itself. Israel has the right to bomb a hospital, killing 80 plus people? Israel has the right to take away these kids' friends, these fathers' sons, these mothers' husbands?
What have they done to end?
Sorry, that's so loud.
Early dawn to say Hamas offered all the hostages in agreement for in response to Israel not coming into Gaza. I mean, there's just to defend Israel's actions.
That didn't happen
either.
either.
Being inevitable.
What I'm getting to is Hamas, I think they knew that this was the reaction that would happen.
By this logic, there is nothing Israel could do that can't be blamed on Hamas, which is a genocidal logic because they're committing genocide and doing exactly what he is doing here, blaming Hamas. This is the logic employed by the IDF and the Israeli state and its propagandists, and this sort of thing is what makes Ethan one of them. In this debate, Ethan also repeatedly conflates anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, which Sam Seder deconstructs pretty effectively, in my opinion.
This will never happen, but in a totally just world, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting if they've ever exhibited any sort of positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing language about what could arguably be 70% of the Jewish diaspora, and certainly probably people you know in your family.
You go in and you're making this about anti-Semitism by doing this hopscotch about a poll that people had positive feelings that Jewish people do, and then therefore he is anti-Semitic. And honestly, that type of conflation, I think, is so dangerous and so disingenuous. I have had a guy who went to my bar mitzvah, my sister's bar mitzvah, my kid's bar mitzvah, sat at Passover with me 3 or 4 times, call my father and ask him if I'm anti-Semitic. That is just an example, an illustration of conflating what he's clearly talking about Zionism. Was it hyperbole to say any time in life, whatever? The fact of the matter is this conflation is dangerous for Jews. It is a fig leaf and a way of weaponizing anti-Semitism that has enabled Donald Trump to do the shit he's doing, that has enabled the slaughter of thousands upon thousands of children and women and men, for that matter. It is not keeping Israelis safe. And this type of conflation, Ethan, is what I find far more irresponsible, frankly, than the idea that he said positive any time.
Not only is this another textbook defense used by the genocidal state of Israel, but what he's saying here is also anti-Semitic. He's using this poll to speak for all Jews.
Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing language about...
Also, I just don't like the idea that Semites are only Jews. I'm a Semite. I'm not a Jew. So when you say anti-Semitic, everyone always thinks Jew. You can be Semitic and not a Jew, guys. So, like, who's being more anti-Semitic in this situation when he says fucking Arabs? A lot of Palestinians are Semitic. They're Semites. I just feel like we're having there's a deep misunderstanding of what is happening. Like, I know Israel likes to colonize, but, like, you can't colonize the word Semite. Like, it doesn't belong to just you. It belongs to all of us.
What could arguably be 70% of the Jewish diaspora.
Lots of Jewish people think this thing, therefore criticizing that thing is anti-Semitic. Hey man, no it's not. The criticism is not about their Jewishness, it's about Israel. The only one here making it about their Jewishness is you. In this same conversation, Ethan blamed Palestinians for Israel's mass killing of peaceful Palestinian protesters with sniper fire during the Great March of Return in 2018.
They were marching in the Great March of Return week after week after week.
Sam, was there Hamas activity at the Great March?
Sinwar was marching.
Actually, great point. It's true to say Zionists are Jewish. Most Zionists are actually Christian. Well, that's the irony too. I think Sam brings that up to him, right? Or was it who brought that up to Ethan? Like that Zionists are often very Christian. And so it's like confusing. Like Joe Biden says he's a Zionist. Justin Trudeau said he was a Zionist. Like being a Zionist doesn't mean that's why Ethan is being so disingenuous when he says, or disingenuous when he says like, oh, this is an anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish sentiment. Yeah, Sam did. Okay.
Sinwar was marching with them.
Were people attacking the border wall?
During the Great March of Return, the first dozens of these things before the snipers, no, they weren't. So there were the people for peace.
There was Hamas activity. They were attacking the fence. They were like trying to cross the border.
They were
but not militants. Militants were trying to cross the border.
We know where he got this talking point from, his friend Destiny, and we've seen him use that before a bunch of times.
Overwhelmingly peaceful. Just as a quick thing, because people love to talk about the Great March of Return, the Peaceful March of Return. All of this is like the Peaceful Great March of Return. Remember this, okay? This is all the Peaceful Great March of Return.
And we've gone over this before, but the human rights reports were very clear on what happened in 2018. Thousands of people were shot by IDF snipers, hundreds of them killed, while standing hundreds of meters from the fence. It's actually pretty insane that this talking point is still being used. Like, it's disgusting. Men, women, children, medics, aid workers, and disabled people were shot and killed. If your retort to this fact is, well, there was separate instances of violence at the border.
They were attacking the fence. They were like trying to cross the border.
Whether you want to admit it or not, you are doing genocide propaganda. You are offering a moral justification for this violence. There are plenty more instances of this sort of thing in Ethan's debate with Hassan, which I could go over, but I feel like you get the point by now. If Ethan is really going to go through with his I don't support genocide lawsuit, he should probably stop using talking points that support genocide. These guys know that.
That's it. Just stop doing it. That's why the question earlier in chat, guys, saying should we be more lenient on people? If you're using Israeli talking points to justify the genocide, we don't have time to be lenient, Habibi. Talk to your mothers, talk to your therapist about it. People are dying while you're too busy figuring out, is this technically a genocide actually? Actually, I don't know if this is a genocide. People are dying while you are debating whether this is a genocide. It's a genocide. Get over it. Like Netanyahu has said, he will do whatever it takes to protect, quote, Israelis. He will do whatever it takes to keep Israel a thing at the expense of everybody else. And that is dangerous. Destroying the world just to maintain status? Fire Nation much? Okay. You don't get to rise to power at the expense of everybody else.
Doing here is wrong. In his announcement tweet a couple months back, Mutahar said, I never want to financially harm or bring a lawsuit to a creator, but slander like this is far too extreme and unchecked. So at this time, we're exploring legal actions, blah, 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 blah. I never want to do this thing that I know is wrong and predatory, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I have no principles and you hurt my feelings. Defamation is not saying extreme things. That's not what defamation is, and it shouldn't take thousands of dollars and months, potentially years of our time to get these guys to understand that. It might, though, because they're rich, which is amazing. It's a beautiful system that we have, but I hope it doesn't. And then recall what Ethan said 8 years ago when he spoke about his experience of being sued by a more wealthy YouTuber.
It's unbelievable. It's criminal. The American justice system is just, it's how can you defend yourself? Like, you guys gave us $150,000 to fight this lawsuit. It's not enough. It's not even enough. And I'm just wondering, if we didn't have the backing and support of all you guys and the means to even throw $50,000 of our own money to defend this case, how would we ever stand up to this? It's like those with money in the legal system have the ability to destroy.
Man, Ethan really lived long enough to become the villain, huh? It really is so human. That's why I say you are not the exception to the rule. This is why Peterson has so many faults, because he ended up becoming the thing he was so afraid of becoming. Ethan, I know how easy it is to become the villain. I was so afraid of becoming a Nazi that I became one. Peterson was so afraid of becoming a Nazi. And then he turned around and he was like, actually, kind of based. Actually, vibes. Like, that's like, I'm still like, that's why I say don't think you can't be a Peterson either, guys. Be careful. You could also be an Ethan or a Peterson. And I actually saw somebody on TikTok saying progressives are going to run into the same problem of being in an echo chamber. Y'all better be careful. Y'all better be careful. Okay, it could happen to anybody. You are not special. It's the moment you think you are not going to become a Nazi that you become a Nazi.
And bully and just defeat people on the grounds of I have more money. And you never would have a chance of defending yourself. It's obscene.
It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
Ethan now constantly threatens lawsuits over creators he doesn't like and creators that say things that are mean about him.
When I'm done with Noah, when I'm done with the other one, the big one that's dropping probably next week, my full attention is going to you, George. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach. You're full of shit, bro. You're not going to do shit. And I'll tell you who's going to do shit. Me. I'm coming, okay? So you're not safe either.
Ethan,
just wait.
Please. I'm married. You can't come. No coming. Ethan, enough.
Keep talking that shit.
He has become the villain, and if he goes through with this and somehow manages to succeed, he retains Alan Dershowitz, we get Richard Goldstone on the bench in a Zionist kangaroo court, that would set a pretty bad precedent, I think. If you disagree with someone's opinions about you, you should respond to it yourself, like an adult, in the court of public opinion, not pay a lawyer thousands of dollars to respond for you in a pre-written email, video essay. It's pretty clear that he's done most of this stuff to make money and for content, which is kind of funny because defamation's supposed to be the other way around. Like, he's made tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars off of my alleged defamation. I don't know how that factors into proving damages, making a bunch of money, more money.
That's a great point. Because Ethan's views are up too. When he talks about drama, his views go up. That is a great. Didn't that happen with somebody else in a content creator sphere? Where they claimed being impacted, but actually did the reverse. That is a great point.
Money than you would have made without it. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. Maybe. I would close with some point about right-wing free speech hypocrisy, because a lot of these people supported this lawsuit despite claiming to want free speech.
I do think people that make up bullshit like this probably do need to have a degree of accountability, especially if they're saying and making claims like that you're.
Yeah, sure. Emotionally, we would all love the internet. I would love for Destiny to have to take back the bullshit he spread about me that is not true. But how do we do that without compromising everybody? I am not willing to win against Destiny at the expense of the community and everybody else. And I think that's the difference between me and these people. Is like, yeah, that would be nice. But how do we do that without fucking everybody over? And if we can't, then fuck it. My actions speak for myself. And if you know what I mean, you want to believe Destiny over everybody else, that's on you. You were never going to care anyways. But that's the problem. I would love to make all these men on the internet who've said shit about me accountable for the lies they've spread. But how do I do that without ruining any stability we have as content creators on this site?
You're a supporter of a genocide. I think this is a very extreme claim to make. It's not like you just say this out of the blue, right? And because of that, I do think that there should be some degree of accountability for it.
But it's not even worth it. This is the most predictable thing that has ever happened on Earth. The Zionist and right-wing lip service about free speech is not an actual principle. Of course it's not. It's a tool. Sometimes that tool is a shield to defend their right to be racist loudly online.
I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people.
And sometimes it's a sword to attack people who criticize them for doing that.
It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
None of these people actually care about any of these issues. Their support for a cause is entirely dictated by whether or not they like the people that are supporting that cause, whether or not they have some sort of content creator.
That's why I often say, but like, what are your values though? That's why I will say, I don't know what your values are. I feel like you're arguing for somebody else's values. What are yours? That's why I've tried to start saying, like, this is Brittany's opinion now. Like, here's my opinion now. Because I do think people forget that a lot of these YouTubers aren't giving us their actual opinions. And I want to know, like, what do you actually believe? Do you believe this is okay? Like, do you think this action is okay? And it's like, well, maybe it's okay if it's people I don't like, or maybe it's okay if it's people I do like. And I want to say, like, my values are this. And, here's how I feel about things. And this is how I think about things. But I do think sometimes, nobody really has any values to stand on. They're just debating the next win. And I actually think that's what's so difficult about this space. Who actually has values and who's just pretending to have them because the views are there?
Based relationship, but that also means we, myself included, need to stop treating it as if it's anything other than that, with the exception being using these morons to educate people. I think that's good. I think people should keep doing that. All right, so anyways, that's all I have to say about the lawsuit stuff. Ethan and Mutahar, if you are not suing me, that's great. I would prefer that, so I don't have to fundraise for legal fees during a genocide. If you are actually going to sue me, though, please just let me know.
You know what they should do? Ethan and Mutahar should, because they're rich, they should pay Noah's legal fees. Okay? And Noah should keep raising money for Palestinians. Yeah? And then everybody wins. There. They're all multi-millionaires. I don't think Noah is a multimillionaire. I'm assuming Noah is not as rich as Mutahar and Ethan. He's probably made good money. He probably has a good savings. He's probably not hurting for money. But I doubt Noah Samson is like is as rich as Ethan. So like Ethan and Mutahar should pay the bill, and then they can all go to court and have fun. But Noah still gets to raise money for the Palestinians. Win-win.
Fundraise again, you will probably lose the anti-slap motion and have to pay my
I'm going to put the link to Noah's charity for Palestinians in the chat.
Legal fees, and we'll just be wasting a bunch of time and money, which in the grand scheme of things is not that big of a deal. I'll be fine, but that will be annoying. So let me know, please. Viewers, if you can, donate to the Gaza Aid fundraiser. I think we can raise a lot of money. I'll be
Link
going
in the
live
chat.
starting Saturday, May 17th at 2 p.m. Pacific time and streaming for a few days and do some guests and other stuff. So stay tuned for the specifics about the times. And sorry for the slop. Sorry, this is a little messy. I'm getting back in the swing of things. It's been a while since I've even sat down to write anything. So coming soon will be more stuff that's actually good. So yeah, goodbye.
Goodbye. Noah also covered the Illymation, the Alyssa stuff versus Think Before You Sleep. He did really great videos on that situation. We brought it up earlier in stream. In general, I usually like Noah, so I'm going to go ahead and like the video. I think you guys should check it out. I'll link his video in the chat as well, but you should check out the fundraiser if you have the money, because remember, if you don't have any money in your account, guys, you are officially the charity case in which you should donate to yourself every day, because all of us have to live under capitalism. So don't forget to feed your families before you try to feed other people's families. Okay, that's the right thing to do for everybody involved. Let's move on now, and remember, free Palestine. Okay, Charlie Kirk, objective morality. Let's do this. Girl, let's do this right now. Let's have an opinion. Oh, chat says, I'm ignorant. Do watermelons mean for Palestine? The watermelon emoji was used at the beginning because people were banning like Palestinian flags or colors. So the way to get around the bans was to use the watermelon because it's basically the Palestinian colors, from my understanding. Somebody can correct me in chat if I got that lore incorrect. Okay, this came up on my feed and it officially cursed my timeline on TikTok. After I saved this video of Charlie Kirk to show you guys, from then on, my feed on TikTok became so conservative and pro-Israel, it was driving me crazy because I don't really watch pro-Israeli content and I don't watch conservative content. I grew up conservative, but like I don't watch that content. I watch like viral moments, of course, but I don't like sit and watch the content anymore because it's just obviously so disingenuous. It's not good. It's not good for anybody's health, but it changed my whole TikTok algorithm. And I forgot how cruel conservatives can be. Like, I genuinely forget how well-intentioned and cruel conservatives can be, right? It's really crazy. So here's the conversation that Charlie had that I want to talk to you guys about philosophically, and then I'll show you the slop that showed up on my timeline because it's crazy. And imagine being a conservative and this is all the content you ever see. This is, everyone lives in a bubble. All of us, me, you, we all have a bubbled perception. We're all limited because we're human beings. We're not superheroes. We don't know everything about the world. We know very little about the world. We are only as knowledgeable as the things we can hold in our head for 2.5 seconds before we forget it to replace it with something else. But imagine you're conservative and all you ever see is the content I'm going to show you.
Wrong. No.
Hold on. The volume is so low. It feels like I'm on the dance floor going low, 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 low. That's a dad joke. Okay. A little annoying.
Was Hitler objective?
Actually. Oh, Chad says pretty sure the watermelon has been used since the beginning of the past 70 years of the Nakba. Really? Oh, I did not know the lore. I thought it was to get around the emoji stuff. Okay. The volume is really low, so y'all got to turn it up. Starting 1, 2, 3.
Objectively wrong.
No.
I mean, was Hitler objectively wrong?
No. So I do, but I can't say that it is like objectively wrong because I don't believe that objective morality exists. Like, why can I ask you, like, why do you think objective morality exists, and how do you like ground that objective morality in?
Well, first, of course, we believe that the Lord of the heavens and the earth gave us that objective reality through revelation.
Okay.
But secondly, we believe it's written on the heart of every human. Do you believe in absolute truth?
What do you mean by absolute truth?
Absolute truth, like that there is truth absolute for all people.
Yes.
You do? Okay, that's objective morality.
That's objective facts. I won't say that's morality.
You know, in Nuremberg, it's very interesting. When they did the Nuremberg trials, and the Nazis basically said, well, in our country it was right, therefore it's right. Do you know that in Nuremberg they rejected that? They said, no, every human being knows that killing 6 million, babies and kids is wrong. And so do you think there's anything built into us of a moral compass that prevents us from doing evil and we have to try to stifle it?
Okay, so obviously not, because there's a genocide happening right now and people are ignoring it. So no, like I don't believe in objective morality or something that's written on the hearts of man. If there was an internal absolute good inside of us, we wouldn't be genociding Palestinians right now. So like for everyone to say like, oh, everyone knows it's wrong to genocide the Jews, well, then why are we genociding the Palestinians? We don't know that. Human beings are products of their environment. They're products of their biology. We're always our biological creature. So this idea, this is what philosophy is, right? Philosophy is the understanding and the dissection of what it means to exist, the love of wisdom, exploration, curiosity. And this is why philosophers are debating to this day, what is love? Because there is a belief billions of people share that somehow good and evil is written on your heart. But that's just not true. If it was true, why are we doing anything we're doing? If everyone is so good and so great, then why are we failing this group project we're all in? Why, if we're so perfect and so good, right, are studies coming out that one of the number one offenders against children are biological fathers? Like, why are we having why are we not ready to have very strong conversations about the fact that we might have less choice in what we do in terms of good and bad than we even believe? But that doesn't mean we can't still create a society that helps mitigate that harm through education, through self-awareness, through introspection. I think people are forgetting that the tool of philosophy does allow you to get to a better place, but it doesn't make you a perfect person. That's why some of the greatest philosophers we know of also have such horrible reputations in a lot of ways. It's why I myself do try to keep myself humble and to remember all the ways that I've contributed to harm in the world. There's this, the end of season 2 of JJK, Itadori does this whole thing where he kind of makes a pledge to sort of honor the death of the people who have been sort of taken over by curses by killing a curse. So for every life lost, he kills a curse, right? Because we have all contributed in some ways to adding the negativity. All we can do every day is be a little less bad. That idea is really interesting to me. That stands out to me as a concept. Do people think that way? Or do people think like, I'm just going to keep running. I'm going to run to the next place I feel safe. Except, there's also an option of being the person who actively tries to mitigate the harm. But again, the road to hell is paved in good intentions. So you got to be careful with that. Chad said, we did do slavery. Dude, we did do slavery. Like, that's the thing that people aren't understanding. This narrative, and I've seen this from conservatives, they're like, right or wrong. Now, I have seen some progressives say this as well. And I think that they're just lacking the nuance. No, you don't know right or wrong. That's why I can be compassionate to people who end up doing things and are naive about it. But that's why I say you better talk to your therapist about it and stop expecting the internet to meet you where you are, or your girlfriend, or the people in your communities. Because I know why you got there and I can explain it. That doesn't mean it's not that doesn't mean it's right. But it also doesn't mean that the internet has to do the emotional labor for the time in your life when you weren't doing something great. Right? And that's the dilemma that I'm having with people is there's people who just genuinely believe that I'm a good person and that's all that matters. That's why I say everyone's a good person. But that doesn't seem to matter in terms of harm we cause. I think good people do bad things. I don't think you have to be a quote bad person to do bad things. Now, I think human beings are like animals. You know, I don't know that it's objective, that it's wrong that a bear killed your family, but I would say that you can feel wronged by it. And I would say that you want to do something that allows you to mitigate the chances of a bear harming and killing your family. But I don't blame the bear, and I hardly blame the human. I can't blame a human because I do look at them like they're a bear. I look at myself like I'm a bear. I know every day in ways that I'm like, oh, I don't even know why I just did that thing. I do things every day, small and sometimes big, where I'm like, why did I just do that? Why did I say that? Why did I act that way? And a big part of it is because in that moment, I'm having like almost like a reflex that's not a reflex. And then I have to say, I'm sorry I said that. I didn't mean that. Or I'm sorry I did that. I didn't mean to do that. That's why we apologize. Because we needed to put something in place to acknowledge that we don't always do the right thing. And that's everybody. Everybody should be apologizing because everyone's going to do something to apologize for. I think what's important, and this is the most difficult thing, is you will never stop apologizing because you will never stop making mistakes or doing bad things. But what's important is that you learn the lesson from the experience. And what's scary is dealing with people who think or have said they've learned the lesson, but they haven't. What's scary is dealing with somebody who says, oh yeah, I realize that's wrong and I'll never do it again. But you can't trust them to have learned the lesson because you're not quite sure they really understand what they did was wrong. And now you have to wait and give them an opportunity to hurt you again in order to see if they've learned their lesson. Or you can cite on caution and just say, I believe that you are on a journey, but I'm not going to be here to figure out if you've really learned the lesson. And then you move away from that person, right? Okay. Chad says, without objective morality, good people do good things and bad people do bad things. Do you mean to say that we don't need objective morality for people to do good things? Because in that case, obviously, right? I think that's obviously true. That, yeah, with or without objective morality, good people do good things and bad people do bad things. Let me show you this video I found. This is so random. This came on my timeline and it would never have done it before. But this is from Tim. Do you guys remember Tim Tebow? Do you guys remember that guy? He's like a football guy who like kneeled and prayed or some shit. This is the most random story, but tell me what you get from it. What's the thing that stands out to you about this story? Okay.
My dad was in an underground pastors conference in a country where faith isn't really allowed. And so he's meeting with these pastors underground so they don't get arrested and they can go back to their communities and minister. And in that underground location, men came in with 4 little girls and started to auction off these 4 little girls to all of the men that are in this place. And one of the reasons why my dad's one of my greatest heroes and role models, he just can't look the other way. He just was, no. He took out all the money in his wallet, which was $1,250 for the rest of his trip and to get home. And he purchased the freedom of those 4 girls. And he called me afterwards. I said, hey, Dad, how's the trip going? How you doing? And he said, I'm doing okay. What are you up to? And he said, I just purchased the freedom of 4 girls. I'm like, what are you talking about, Dad? Not long after I got to fly to that location, you show up and you're thinking all these thoughts like, this is like Taken and Liam Neeson, and this is cartels and it's crime families and all of this. By that time, we even had more kids. And by that time, you realize most of these children were sold by their family. One of the first girls that I got to meet, she didn't make enough money one day. And so when she got home, her mom, in such a place of desperation, took her and boiled out her eye.
Boiled out her eye?
Boiled out her eye.
Okay, does anyone... anything stand out to you? Okay, the world really is like really horrible things are happening around the world and people are doing them to their own kids. So when you guys talk about objective morality and people know what's right or wrong, please do not make me slap you. Okay, you know what's interesting about the story that stood out to me? Is the very beginning. Listen to it again.
Underground pastors conference in a my dad was in an underground pastors conference in a country where faith isn't really allowed. And so
my dad was in an underground pastor meeting where faith isn't allowed. So these underground Christians who are supposed to be the good guys are getting together. So when Christians go, we're being persecuted for being Christians, we have to go underground. We have to hide. You're also the ones touching kids and selling them. Talk about the Catholic Church. Talk about the Catholic Church. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why when Christians sit here and go, Christians are being persecuted. Look, you're all being persecuted, but all y'all got messiness in your history as well. So I am concerned. Chet says, like, why are you there, sir? Well, here's the thing. I think Western Christians want to be there to save fellow Christians because they are still refusing to believe that Christian churches are also some of the #1 places for child abuse. It's the same thing why people are still Catholics. Why are you still Catholic? And I know you're saying, oh, it's not the religion, it's the corruption of the church, it's the men in charge. Maybe it's the whole religion, y'all. Like, I'm not saying don't be religious. You know, I don't care if you're religious. Though legally, I don't care if you're religious. Personally, I do side eye people that follow a patriarchal religion, especially one that has a history of homophobia and racism and all the other things. It's not like Catholics didn't torture people, you know, who said they wouldn't become Catholic. And that's also a narrative, you know, they don't teach you. Growing up Catholic, they teach you they were so nice to the natives and indigenous people. They teach you that they saved the indigenous people from their, quote, savagery. They killed them and tortured them if they didn't declare Jesus Christ their savior. So the fact that people of color are still Christian is still interesting to me. I don't know why you are still following the religion of your oppressors that your ancestors were forced into embracing so they weren't killed. Chaz says, was it underground because it was somewhere religion wasn't allowed? Yeah, it was underground because it was somewhere Christians weren't allowed or their religion wasn't allowed. That's the story, right? Like, wow, my dad's a hero. You know, he's been doing this thing, which again, I want to be able to have this conversation just like we did the eugenics conversation without people hearing that I'm like anti-babies. Like, I love babies, make babies. I just don't know why you're making a baby in 2025. Maybe you could explain it to me. Are you in such a position of privilege that you're making a baby, or do you work 2 jobs? You can barely have time with your kids, and yeah, you make $100,000, but you never even get to see the kids you have, and then you're making a new one? Like, yeah, forgive me for asking why you're making a baby in 2025 when tariffs are so high. People can't even do basics. Houses are so high, people can't pay rent or buy homes or, you know, can't even afford eggs. Yeah, I'm a little confused why you're having kids, even if you do make 6 figures. What are you doing that for? You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying, why are you doing it? Do you know why you're doing it? Same thing. I know you're gay and I know you belong to a cool Christian church where girls can be pastors, but I'm just wondering why. Why that church? Why that belief? Why that Jesus? Why that man? I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying why. I feel very autistic. Just because I'm asking why doesn't mean I don't know why you're doing it. I can come up with 5 reasons why I think you're doing it, but I'd really like to know why you're doing it. That's why I'm asking, because I don't know. And I know my face looks like I'm judging you, and I certainly am. I just don't think it should matter. If you don't want to be judged by me, don't be out here bragging about how you belong to a patriarchal religion to a woman who thinks gender is an illusion. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why these people sit here and wonder why people who follow a different belief system than them might be like, why do you do that? I don't get it. But you do you. You do you.
I used to be a feminist. And then I got married and I love my husband dearly. And I recognize that there is a difference between men and women. There's a significant difference, obviously. And I don't consider myself a feminist anymore. I'm a straight up misandrist. Men are not equal to women. No. So far not equal to women. Gross.
Okay, that was a joke. It's a joke. We don't believe in misandry. It's a joke. Everybody relax. It's a joke. Okay? It's a bit of a joke, isn't it? You know? It's a bit of a joke. Okay, let's see. Did I miss anything in chat that somebody wants me to answer? I feel like I missed a lot in chat already. I also like that somebody in chat said bad people also do good things. Yeah, exactly. Like but bad people also do good things. You know? Okay, so I found this video going viral, but the original video, excuse me, just give me a second. But the original video was taken off the internet. Okay.
The woman who called, let's talk about Shiloh Hendricks. The woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. My first impression after watching the video, a little bit of white trash. I have to be honest, the kid was 5. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong to them. Ask any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this. Because Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman. But what she did is not praiseworthy. But also on the same hand, please remember that every day that us white people get on this app, we get called racial slurs. Every single day. So if you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. But for the love of God, please leave the children out of it. Adults are stupid. They're going to do stupid things. But you're a different level of stupid when you bring kids into it. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, so lots to say there. Okay, so Black fatigue, white fatigue, autistic fatigue. I follow autistic creators that are like autistic fatigue, Black fatigue. Originally, the fatigue was supposed to be about the minority group identifying with a thing that is exhausting because we exist. So hold on, let me get it for here.
So everybody was talking about this Black fatigue stuff. Why none of y'all went to actually go do any research on what it actually means, right? Y'all didn't let these certain type of people flip what the meaning of it is. And these other Black folks, you know, the others, the ones that's not really part of us, you know, those, y'all let them influence y'all too. But y'all didn't give reference to Mary Frances Winters, who wrote a whole book about what Black fatigue actually is. And it is the physical, mental, and emotional experiences that Black people face dealing with systemic racism. That's what it is. But y'all didn't even give her credit. Y'all didn't look up what it actually meant. Y'all just took a narrative and ran with it. Because y'all not smart. So what I would advise, right? And even for myself, I'm actually going to buy this book. I'm going to read this book. And I'm going to support this Black woman who was trying to educate people on what we face. Since y'all want to spin the goddamn narrative. You couldn't even give a Black woman credit. You couldn't even give this woman credit for the actual term. This book that she wrote. This beautiful author. Boy, some of y'all, I tell you, boy. Okay, so I really like this because this is exactly what happened with intersectional feminism and toxic masculinity, where academics, educated people, were creating terms for academia, and then us stupid people grabbed onto it. Not that everyone in academia isn't stupid, okay, but we grabbed onto it and twisted the narrative, and now we couldn't have real conversations about it. Chet says racists are dumbs. What a shock. No, he's calling out everybody. He's calling out everybody because other people kept running with this. It's just, okay, this is what happens in our communities. So we see people using the words wrong, and then we engage with them in the way that they're using it wrong. And I tried this with intersectional feminism. It was really hard to try to explain intersectionality to people. And so you couldn't after a while. Same with toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity isn't a hate of masculinity. Right? And that's why people go, well, I guess I'm a toxic masculinity person. I guess I'm a eugenicist now. This is what happened with the eugenicist conversation, where people are like, I guess I'm a eugenicist now because you think I'm doing eugenicist. It's like, stop it. You don't want to own these words. Stop owning the words. And this happened to the pro-choice lady who was being bogged down by the pro-life lady. Yeah, I want to kill the middle schoolers. Yeah, because we're humans. We don't have free choice, like free will the way you think we do. We're reacting because we're emotional creatures that need to introspect, not away from our emotions, but within our emotions. Stoicism wasn't a rejection of emotions. It was about mastering and having a good relationship with your emotions, right? So we have to be careful with the way that we have these conversations because we keep trying to have them with people that aren't really interested in having the conversation. They just want to pretend they are. They just want to be like, I'm going to get a clip. I'm going to get a clip. I'm going to go viral. I'm getting a clip. And then they're going to get money. That's why these conservative grifters, that's why it's so easy to be a conservative grifter.
because you make so much money and you don't have to do any research. You just gotta pick a term, DEI, black fatigue, intersectionality, and critical race theory, piss off a person, go viral, make a bag. They're not serious. So I actually appreciated this video because he's just like, we're doing it. We're getting in. So here, hold your, okay, ready?
Black fatigue is a thing.
Here is another person talking about black fatigue in a different way. Oh, hold on, my mouse is stuttering.
Newsflash. White people don't want to live around ratchet black people. And black people don't want to live around ratchet black people. I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning and then you see the bonnet crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended. And that's anywhere you go, no matter what. They're highly emotional, highly sensitive. You can't say nothing. You can't even smile and hold the door for them because they'll look at you like you're crazy. And always the victim of something. Either you stepped on a shoe, you looked at them wrong, you told them good morning. They're never happy, they're never satisfied. And you wonder why normal, good black people move out of the hood as soon as they start getting successful. I was one of those black people that said, man, if I made some money, I'ma stay here. I'ma buy up this, buy up that. I'm gonna support the community. As soon as I got my money, I got the fuck up out of there. Because they don't know how to appreciate good shit. And my suburban kids don't need to be dealing with that bullshit. Crab in a barrel mentality. Never take accountability for nothing. So yeah, black fatigue is a thing. And I'll tell you, a lot of people are fucking tired. They're tired of dealing with these kind of people on a daily basis. I mean, I get anxiety when I walk inside of a mall nowadays. I mean, because you got these YNs running around and they don't respect nothing. So I don't care what anybody says. White America is tired of you, and we are too.
I told you my timeline got cursed, okay? And I kept running into this where I was like, oh, a brown person. Because I'm used to progressive brown people. And then they'll start talking and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in enemy territory. You think, oh, it's a woman. Oh, it's a non-binary. Oh, it's a trans person. And then all of a sudden it's like anti-trans rhetoric. You're like, oh, what happened? I saved one Charlie Kirk video and boom, my timeline changed. Okay, so, okay. First of all, as a person who is that American stereotype who sometimes wears PJs to a Walmart, let me tell you something. In Croatia, I stand out because I wear sweats to the grocery store. And it's not cute sweats. It's like, I don't know, just sweats. And people definitely are like, because people look pretty here. People look really dressed up. And I do think that the best part of nighttime shopping is you get to go in your PJs. I think the best time of nighttime, and look, Walmart is just the kind of place where it allows us to go. You know how many times I've dyed my hair and gone to the store with dye in my hair? Now, I wouldn't do that in Croatia because it's definitely a signal of not good. Okay? But there are places in America that are chill enough where no one's really going to look at you too weird. But let me tell you a story my mom always told me. My godmother was, you know who Lucille Ball is from I Love Lucy? It's probably, I don't know if any of you guys are even old enough to watch I Love Lucy. I loved I Love Lucy growing up. My godmother was friends with Lucy's kid growing up, okay? Because her dad was their plumber, okay? And they would tell us stories about how Lucy would go to the store with hair rollers in her hair. And this was actually pretty common. And in certain neighborhoods, it wasn't that abnormal to see women go to the store with hair curlers, right? Or to have, a down dress to go grocery shopping. But then when people of color would do it, it got stigmatized as, quote, trashy or whatever. And the dilemma is that human beings are really high school with money. We like to say, I can do it. When I do it, it's classy. But when you do it, it's not classy. There's nothing inherently immoral about going to Walmart with a bonnet on. There's nothing immoral about going to Walmart or a store with sweatpants on. There's nothing immoral or unethical is happening. Now, individually, psychologically, what are the reasons we might go to places in PJs? Maybe you're not feeling that cute today. Maybe you just want to relax. Maybe you don't want to be stressed out about looking cute. Maybe you just kind of want to be, maybe you just didn't have time and you rushed out of the house. Maybe the reason we're dressing in PJs is a reflection of something, but it's not always what you think it is. And sure, do you have a stereotype in your head of a kind of person that looks a certain way and their kids are acting a certain way and all these things are happening in a certain way? Sure. But it's not about alienating one group of people that represent not even, like, they're just one example and it's isolated. It's not about skin color. It's about certain bubbles. This is why I say bubbles overlap. Bubbles overlap. Chet says, or maybe I just want to. Nobody does anything without a why, though. You never just want to. Your want comes from a place. That's why people think like you're not thinking about it, because they think about it. They don't go to the store in PJs because of a why. They have a reason why they do not go to the store in PJs. The same reason I have a why I go to the store in PJs. Right? So you can never do anything just because you want to, even though it sounds like you're doing it because you want to. Talk about a lack of free will. You're doing it for a reason. And the question is why? And the question is there anything unethical about your why? Probably not. Probably not. The problem is they're making it an issue of ethics. We don't want to be around you people because it's bad or wrong when there's nothing inherently wrong about it. You cannot give me a solid reason why it is wrong for someone to go to a store in PJs. And that's the problem. It's not wrong. Now, to create a cohesive village, you might talk about what's wrong about children's behavior. I'll give you an example of children's behavior in a grocery store. I worked in a really rich grocery store one time where like there were Bentleys in the parking lot. It was a really affluent neighborhood. And I remember I was working in the deli, and this was many, many years ago, and a mom was there. And I don't think this is important, but she was white. Okay. I don't think that's very important to say to the story because it's about parenting, but just in case, she was white. And she had 2 kids. And you know how grocery stores have little kid carts and kids can have their little kid carts? Okay. We were in the store and there was a wine area near the deli. And, it was kind of set up like in a pyramid. And the kids were smashing their carts up against each other. Okay. Smashing. And I was like, and I looked at the kids and I said, hey, I was like, oops, slow down there. I was like, I know you're having fun and I love that, but let's be very careful because if these wine glasses shatter, you might get hurt. So let's move our game over here. The mom was so mad. She was livid. She goes, do not reprimand my kids. Do not even talk to my kids. And I said, I understand. I'm just worried about them because they might break all the glasses here and then they're going to get hurt. And I'm just trying to prevent an accident. And she was like, do not tell my kids what to do. What's your name? And I realized right there in that moment, like, I'm pissed. I'm a little pissed that you're not saying what a good fucking neighbor I'm being because your dumbass kids are about to break some bottles and not only am I going to have to clean it up, but they're going to get cut and then you're going to sue and you should shut the fuck up. And so I was like, my name is Brittany, Brittany. And she was like, I literally did that because I'm fucking autistic and I'm a bitch. And then she was like, can I talk to your manager? And I was like, sure. And I called my store manager over and he pulled me aside about like 20 feet away from the mom. So like he pulled me to the side and he was like, make it look like I'm reprimanding you. And I can't believe I'm doing this right now. And I'm so annoyed those wine glasses are there because it's exactly why I didn't want the display there in the first place. And now I have to look like I'm reprimanding you. So look sad, Brittany. And I was like, we're not going to do anything, are we? And he's like, we can't do anything. The customer's always right. Just look like I'm making you feel bad about what you did. The woman was appeased. I was appeased because my manager took my side, even though he couldn't do it publicly. I felt fine about it. And I just sat there and I was like, I hate these fucking games. I hate these fucking games people play. I hate that, like, I can't tell, like, anybody for any reason, like, hey, bro, you better, like, chill the fuck out. Like, teenagers, moms, parents. Sorry, my screen is bothering me. I have to fix it. Thank you. Why? Like, I can't tell these people, like, hey, I'm trying to, like, harm reduce here, bitch. I'm trying to do prevention work. And you won't let me prevent. Okay? I didn't care that the kids were playing games. Kids are stupid. I cared that the parent wasn't doing anything about it. But parents are very sensitive about their kids, as we've learned. People are very sensitive about your kids, but look, I think most parents are bad parents. So for this conservative, all these black conservatives who talk about black people and black people aren't good parents and black people are ghetto, blah, blah, blah. all of you are bad parents. I don't know why you think it's just these people when you're a parent and you're out here teaching your kids that they're better than the neighborhood you came from because they were simply born in the suburb. How is that better parenting? How are you doing anything any better? Okay, so my page is like full of like all these shitty people. Okay, now this one had me shook. I was not mentally prepared.
Dear Black people, could you stop making videos that say, "Dear white people, if you don't have a problem with people that look like me, would you be my friend?" Racism died with Gen X. As a widespread issue, that was boomers. It died with Gen X. Most of us are grandparents now, and apparently you didn't even notice. Like, we put in the work. We stopped judging people by the color of their skin, and you didn't even notice. But now we feel your judgment all the time, and we're tired of walking on eggshells because we know there's a very good chance that you probably have a problem with our skin color, and because you assume that we're racist while you're being racist. It died down so much that now youth, a lot of white youth, uses the N-bomb. I can't imagine doing that. I can't. It hurts me, but they use it casually. It's not because they're racist. Nope. It's because it's a huge part of pop culture, and it has been for 30 years, over 30 years, since hip-hop went mainstream, since gangster rap went mainstream, and the word was everywhere. And kids today are baffled by racism. They think it's so stupid that it's laughable. Yet there's a word that is ubiquitous in pop culture that a large percentage of the population just isn't permitted to use. They don't understand that. They think it's ridiculous, so they rebel against it, as kids do when they don't understand something and they see it as ridiculous and dumb. You can feel how you feel about that. I feel how I feel about it. I don't like it at all. I taught my kids to never say that word because it was a word that was created for hate. But the word has changed, I guess. I can't change the way I view it, but for them it's changed. Dear Black people, oh, I love you. I love your culture. I love your swagger. I love your hair. I love how you can speak with roundness while I speak in squares and triangles. But I also love my culture, and I love my hair, and I love my skin, and I love your skin, and I love our differences and our commonalities. And it's time to heal. If you don't focus on healing how you view white people and then how you view yourselves in relation to white people, because the superiority complex only ever masks an inferiority complex, then we're going to be doing a civil rights movement for white people in like 20, 30 years. And I know some of you would like that. But that just says that you're the racist now because white people aren't the racists anymore. And I'm not saying there isn't a single white person who's racist. There's assholes in every group and every color. But the majority of us left that with our parents or grandparents. It doesn't even make sense to us. And we don't need to feel guilty about what our ancestors did because we're the ones that fixed it. It's over now. Unless you want to perpetuate it.
My timeline is cursed. I fucked myself over. I forget what it's like to be so far away from this bubble. Like, I am so far away from this bubble. And every time, like, now that I've been seeing it on my timeline again, I'm like, oh, like, it's almost shocking. Like, you want to talk about ignorance? Like, you guys, we're dealing with Ethan Klein. But imagine dealing with this bubble. Like, you think Ethan's bad? I'm sorry. This lady is more exhausting in so many ways, and Ethan's bad. Like, imagine how bad it is. And for her to sit around and be like, most white people aren't racist. We solved racism. I'm like, In this economy, in this administration, under Trump, what is your bubble? What bubble? Oh, Discord said you banished yourself to the shadow realm. I'm not even kidding you. You should have seen me the other night. I was like panicking and my partner's like, what's happening to your timeline? I was like, I keep blocking all these accounts and they're driving me crazy. And then it's like, wait, I'm going to make a stream about this. I was like, what's happening? And I was like blocking and blocking and blocking. And I was like, what? And then I found other progressives that were like, what's up with my timeline? I was like, my timeline is just, it's so bad. It's so bad. And I'm just I'm so tired. And it's just my timeline, bros. It's just my timeline. I got more videos. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I have more videos. I'm so sorry. I have more videos. And we're gonna have to watch them. I'm so sorry. I just want to prove to you how real bubbles are. And just know that this is why I say make your own bubble or join one that really reflects your values. Because when people say, Brittany, like, well, how do you love people so much, but you don't socialize? I love people, but I can't socialize. The moment I hear something come out of people's mouths that's similar to this, I'm like, I can't, I'm tired, I can't, I don't want to do it. I can't, I'm so tired. My own family, I love them. I'm so tired. I love them so much, I can't. They're like, why don't you want to come over? Why don't you want to come? I can't. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Okay. You act like, I know people say, oh, it's a privilege. You get to stay at home all day. I did this on purpose. I did it on purpose. This is on purpose. It's on purpose.
You are a girl's girl until you find out you're Republican. Today is t-shirt day in the office, so I thought, why not wear my new American Republican t-shirt I got off Etsy. I was really excited to wear it. And on my way to the office, I stopped at Dutch Bros to get a coffee because it's only a mile from my office, and I wanted to try their new cookie butter latte. So everybody knows the people who work at Dutch Bros, super ecstatic, always just thrilled to be—
Wait, question, is Dutch Bros conservative? Because I used to go to Dutch Bros in Arizona all the time. But now I'm seeing Dutch Bros associated with a lot of Republicans, and I'm confused about that. Is Dutch Bros, which I usually like their drinks, they make really good drinks. Are they like a Republican's dog whistle? Like Starbucks used to be for liberals, but now we don't do Starbucks, okay? Because it's it's on the list, right? So I'm just curious. Oh, hold on, my mouse is glitching.
Okay. To be there, thrilled to take your coffee order. I love it. It's sweet. It's a little early in the morning for a lot of energy, but here for it. Anyways, me and the girl who was making that coffee, we're vibing, we're talking. She's just so ecstatic. And I was trying to meet the energy. It was a little early, but I was meeting the energy, and we were talking. She was asking me about my day, if I had anything exciting coming up, how I was doing with the storm, because it's raining right now in Nashville. And we were just chit-chatting, and then she goes, oh, what does your shirt say? And so I pulled my seatbelt, I said, it says American Republican. And she goes, oh. And then it died. Like, all of our chit-chat storm gone, fizzled. And it was really awkward. I was just like, okay. So I'm sitting here waiting for my coffee, and complete like silence. And she hands me my coffee. She goes, okay, have a good day. And I was like, oh. So sure, maybe I'm reading into it, but vibes gone as soon as the shirt was revealed. So we will see how the rest of the day goes. I'm going to be downtown doing some work later in the afternoon, and yeah, it's kind of like wearing a classy MAGA hat. So isn't it great to be a Republican in the 21st century?
I did. Okay, I found myself on progressive TikTok again. Oh, thank God. And they were talking about—
until we find out,
ma'am.
Republican.
Okay, Republican women always— I get it. You gotta have the last word. I was on progressive TikTok again, and people were deconstructing the idea of a girl's girl and pick-me's. And I do think we just need to be a little grounded when we're having these conversations. You might be a pick-me, you might not be a pick-me. You might be a girl's girl, you might not be a girl's girl. Every girl's girl situation does change, though, via the bubble. So, like, being a girl's girl isn't progressive. You're not progressive if you're a girl's girl, in my mind. You can be a conservative girl's girl. But being a girl's girl isn't like being for all girls. Like, I'm not about to be a girl's girl if you're a Nazi. Like, I'm not about to be out here being a girl's girl. But being a girl's girl means that we deconstruct and demolish patriarchy in the name of all people who are, quote, girls, sure. and all people who aren't girls, sure, that I'm a girl's girl, but like I'm not even a gender girl. I just feel like I would really like a future where like it's not even about being a girl's girl because that's so gendered. Like talk about being in the binary. Like I'm too gender fluid to be a girl's girl in the traditional sense. But do I like girl energy? Sure. But I'm also too much of a boy to be too concerned about being a girl's girl. So we should just abolish gender. Let's start there. Okay, now. Look at all these TikToks I saved for you.
Just an FYI, you're allowed to be conservative and a healthcare professional. I'm so sick of seeing people try to box us in just because of what we do for a living. But there are a lot of healthcare workers that are very conservative and also very good at their job. Stop. Just an FYI, you're allowed.
This is like an interesting idea because obviously a lot of conservatives are in healthcare. A lot of conservatives are everywhere. But conservatives genuinely feel like they don't have a place to be, but they don't understand that everybody feels that way. Guys, everyone feels that way when they're in the wrong bubble. Everyone. If you're progressive, you can feel alienated in a conservative town. If you're conservative, you're going to feel alienated in a liberal town. We all feel that way. That's why like it depends on your bubble. That's why I say even working places, like I understand why when you work with people, right, you want to work with people that are more on the same page because it can get really awkward. That's why I say pay attention to the bubbles you're in, who you're socializing with, how to feel safe around people, and then recognize the reason so many of us are afraid of conservative healthcare workers is because some of you don't give out birth control pills. Some of you don't perform abortions. Some of you deny people life-saving care because it's against your religion. That's why we might be concerned that you're in healthcare and might want to support people who are more liberal because they have more options. I would be pretty concerned if I had a pro-life doctor, unless that doctor was able to separate their opinion in relation to my medical care. Now, I also understand my mother only went to doctors that were pro-life, which is good. You get to fire your doctors, y'all. Pick a doctor that's going to coincide with your beliefs. So when shit hits the fan, they're going to advocate for you, including if you're pro-life. Because if you're pro-life and you want to die, you know, if there's a situation where it's you or the baby and you'd prefer to die, make sure your doctor like respects that. I think that's important. I would choose my life over the fetus's life or the baby's life, but that's, you know, for a lot of reasons. So I want a doctor that supports that, would advocate for me. So my mom was right to pick pro-life doctors, as you were right to pick pro-choice doctors, right? Okay. Okay.
So how do you go from being a lifelong Democrat to being fully Republican in 2024 and voting Republican? Honestly, there's a lot here. I'm going to break it down for you, but I know these reasons are widespread. I'm not the only Democrat that switched to Republican, and the Democrats could probably learn something from listening to this. First of all, I was raised a Democrat, and growing up, I never really learned the Constitution. I'm going to be honest. I went to public school. We never did a deep dive on the Constitution. Therefore, we never fundamentally understood the genius of why things were put in place. And if anything, all you heard was, for example, if it was like the right to bear arms, Democrats and liberals would say something like, it's an outdated document, like we don't need arms anymore. That was back in the day. They have these kind of sayings that
But it wasn't about guns. I've never met a liberal or a Democrat who's fully against guns, except a few. Most of them are against assault rifles. Not just owning guns. A lot of liberals and Democrats I know own guns. Some progressives I know own guns. It's not about the gun. It's about the assault rifles usually. Like, what do we need an assault rifle for? You know what I mean? And by the way, I am so American that I still sometimes when I hear noises, I'm like, I heard a gunshot. And my partner's like, Brittany, it's not a gunshot. I was like, I heard a gunshot. And he's like, you're in Croatia. You're not going to hear a gunshot. It would be very weird to hear a gunshot. And it is interesting how many times I do run outside to see if somebody was being shot when it's probably just a car backfiring
in your brain. So you're just brought up thinking like, well, we don't need that, instead of really deeply understanding why it was put there in place to begin with. And I'm not saying you agree with it or not, but it's like we should understand why deeply. Second thing is I became a mom in 2018, and anybody that turns into a mom knows that this completely transforms your world, what you think of the future, how you look at everything. You want things good, the security of the nation, the education system, the ability to get jobs, the ability for your future kids.
Chet says, girl, you're supposed to run inside, not outside. No. I run to the balcony. Because look, I might be scared, but I'm also nosy. I'm a bit too nosy. I'm like, was that a gunshot? Like, I'm definitely the meme where it's like vacuuming the grass when the cops show up. I'm definitely the meme.
Kids to afford things, for me to be able to afford things for them. And family becomes the focus of your life. And if I were to look at the two parties, Republicans are much more family oriented, fully family oriented, and the Democrats seem to not like family at all. They promote being
If you say the Democrats don't like family at all, I just know you're being silly. Like, who are you hanging out with, girl? You think only Republicans are having children? You know what I'm saying? Like, all the families I worked for in Seattle were all liberal, and I was a nanny to all those families, and all of them were, say it with me, Democrats.
Single and gay more than they promote being family. And
they want to promote being single and gay more than they want to promote family. You mean because we're trying to save women from dating misogynistic men? Also, Chat pointed it out. The cross necklace she's wearing tells me everything I need to know. Me too. I honestly don't even know if she was ever really a Democrat. Christians can be Democrats, which again, I raise an eyebrow at you. Like, if y'all need community that bad, why do you got to center it around a man? You know what I mean? Like, I still don't know why. You know what? I don't get it.
Of course, being single is okay. Being gay is
also. People saying like, Joe Biden is a Catholic and Kennedy was a Catholic. Okay. The Kennedys lobotomized their aunt who is autistic, and Joe Biden is racist. Next, and he didn't do anything to stop the genocide. So, what am I supposed to be, like, good job for being a liberal Catholic? I don't give a fuck.
Is okay, but I don't see any representation for the family. The next thing is my husband and I both suffered injuries after COVID. My husband's could have been fatal, and then mine took like 3 years for me to correct with like minerals and electrolytes and changing so
girl
much. I don't know what it did to me, but it depleted me. And I was watching liberal channels like CNN and reading the New York Times, which I will never watch or read those again because of this. And they were just filling it with all of this bad information. And if I would have had the right information that was being censored at the time, primarily from the Democratic Party, I would not have gotten that. And I would have saved me and my husband's health for years.
100% crunchy to the right wing pipeline. This is crunchy pipeline. I'm telling you. That's why I say, guys, the uniqueness of human beings is that we have a lot more overlap than we think, but some of us aren't even in contact. So like the crunchy leftists, like the raw vegans, have overlap with the conservatives who are all like, oh, I just drink water and I don't do vaccines for my kids. And this is what's so cool about humans and horrible about humans is there is no simple right left. It's like, what kind of left? That's why the left has quote infighting, because we're not all the same. We're different. FD Signifier was just on Not So Erudite, which, I got thoughts about. I shout out to FD, friend of the show. And I know I used to be friends with Kyla on the internet, but like, I'm not a fan of the way I'm not a fan of her politics. But he went on her program to kind of be like, I'm willing to build bridges. Love that. I think I'm willing to build bridges with my neighbors, but not in terms of the way that is being built. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to build that bridge in that way, but like, you do no judgment. I trust FD to make his own decisions. But it's this idea of like, it's not infighting amongst the left. It's just like a clear, definitive difference between us. Kyla makes it clear she doesn't want to work with the progressives or crazy leftists. And we want to make it clear I don't want to work with the centrists. But I am willing to build bridges with all people to get universal health care, housing, support, and the genocide and all the other things. Right? But not at the expense of people. Right?
Next is I became a Christian and God found me. And I am not the only one. There has definitely
been... God found her. He came in the night through her window.
This has been happening all over. You see it happening. This is, the greatest gift that could have happened to me. But once you start reading the Bible and once you really see what the Bible preaches and how much wisdom is in there and how they're trying to take that out of our culture and how everything in our culture is counter to the Bible, you start to really wonder what's going on. And so much of that is led by the liberal party
And this is what I'm saying about the bubbles. Like, this is why I'm saying, girls, you're not bad for not going home to your family and interacting with them. When like this is really difficult to sit through at dinner, it's like you don't even have a space, right?
The Bible and Christians are much more accepted and a part of the Republican Party. And then the Democratic Party, I mean, just as much as I like the policies from the Republicans, I equally am grumpy with the Democrats because I finally opened my eyes to the witch hunt they did with Trump. I see, because I watched the speeches that like Trump or JD Vance or any of these people, I watch the full speeches and then I see how the left totally censors it or completely lies about it, how they talk down.
Okay, I'm over her. Thank you. Now, okay, let's see. Oh my God.
Women 18 to
Whoa, sorry guys, volume scare.
34 have political opinions that are way off center compared to everyone else. Plus, they're dreadfully miserable. Well, they get 80% of.
This video's crazy. They're dreadfully, Ethan. They're dreadfully miserable. They just hate their life. They hate it. And why wouldn't they hate it? Their Machiavellian mothers convince them it's correct. These institutions. These academic institutions. You just don't get it until you see it. You're lucky, Ethan. You saved your family. You saved them from the radical left. You really went about it. You went about a boot, if you will. A boot it really well.
They're dreadfully miserable. Well, they get 80% of their news from TikTok, and TikTok is a bot farm fundamentally.
Yeah.
And the algorithms are designed to produce exactly the kind of upsetting pathology that characterizes female voters between the ages of 18 to 34.
Well, I mean, this is why woke is so female coded. Everybody kind of wonders, what in the world is critical race theory? Why is it so female coded? It's because every bit of what we call woke on the left passed through feminism to mainstream.
Yeah.
So it was all built off of pathological women trying to figure out how to pathologize young women to join their club.
Yeah, women.
Hear that, girls? I want you to join my club. Join my club. Be a feminist. Tell your husbands I'm getting a divorce. It's over. Just kidding. I married a woman. I don't have to divorce her. Okay. Oh my God. Tell me I have not seen a Jordan Peterson clip on my TikTok in like a year. And now they're every fucking like TikTok. It's insane. Okay, let's see.
I am in the liberal.
I swear to God, I thought she was a meme account. I think she might be real, but I promise you, I watched like 3 of her TikToks and I kept thinking this cannot be a real person. I think she might be real, but I feel like she's fucking with me.
Hellscape that is New York City. I lived here actually for most of my life, but moved 2 years ago to the free state of Florida. Every time I come back, my friends are like, oh my God, do you miss it? What's it like being back? Do I miss it? It is the middle of summer and everyone around me seems to be pale, unhappy, masked, and trans. Okay, I take that back. Not everyone is trans. Everyone's just kind of androgynous looking. A lot of purple hair. I feel like I'm observing a social experiment. And the men are all low-T soy betas. They all have pronouns in their bios. Plus the Mario Kart styled obstacle course of having to swerve around homeless people and jump over dirty needles on the street.
I feel like this is rage bait.
Only gotten more complicated. Plus I reveal myself every time I get a latte here. Asking for cow milk feels like a crime. Plus half the time they don't even have it. I am in the belly of the beast, accepting all prayers. I am in the liberal.
Didn't that sound so fucking fake? Like it almost sounded like she was memeing on conservatives, right? I thought this is a meme, right?
So I have a number of guns at home and my friends are always asking me, oh, are they locked away? I always say, no, why would they be locked away? I don't have kids in the house. I need them ready to go. And the follow-up question is always, but what about Theo? Theo? You mean my dog, Theo? What, like one morning I'm going to wake up with Theo standing over me, holding a gun with his opposable thumbs going, where are the treats, bitch? I don't think so. Still, one of my friends got me this gift for the holidays, and it is How to Talk to Your Dog About Gun Safety. Look at this book. Look at this. Theo, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Promise this is not an ad. This is actually something I received. There are chapters like abstinence.
I feel like she's fucking with me.
And healthy behaviors, exploring myths and realities about Satanism and hidden dangers. Honestly, it could be educational. So I've been
Okay, is she a Democrat or a liberal joking about being a Republican? Telling your friend she doesn't have to vote for Kamala just because she's a woman. Okay, I don't want to get copyrighted Elton John song.
So I'm not sure when we lost the thread on just anything being normal these days. But especially when it comes to kids and their parents. But a lot of people in this country have decided that parents don't have to be parents anymore. Actually, that they can't be parents anymore. But you know what? Parents are your guardians for a reason. Parents are supposed to be involved in your life. When I was a kid, my parents had to give me a permission slip in school to do anything. They were involved. Then why is it that Amendment 4 is on the ballot in Florida? Amendment 4 would not only allow minors to get abortion without parental consent, but also up until birth. And of course, the language is so...
Is this a joke? I autistically cannot tell if she's fucking with me right now. CJ, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, what do you think is the ethos behind conservatives being martyrs? How they have God on their side, but think they are always in danger? I think it's, I think quickly, my brain tells me it's because it's ingrained in their doctrine. Like their religion amplifies and promotes and pedestals martyrdom. So as a Catholic, how did St. Peter die? Everybody tell me, how did St. Peter die who was raised Catholic? What was significant about St. Peter's death? What was different about St. Peter's death compared to Jesus's death? Any former Catholics in the chat know? This was told to me so many times. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. Upside down. Exactly. You all know. St. Peter said, do not crucify me like the Lord. I'm not worthy. Put me upside down so I may suffer, in the name of him. So they put him upside down to suffer. And this was told to us like a fairy tale of this is what you do when, in the name of Christ. When the Columbine shooting happened, right? What are we taught about Columbine, which is not technically true? I think it's been proven that this is not true. But Christians would say that the shooters went up to the students and said, "Do you believe in Jesus Christ?" And they would shoot people who said yes. And my mom would say, "Would you say yes if somebody asked you if you believed in Jesus Christ?" And I was a good little Catholic girl. So I was like, yes, I will die for Jesus Christ. I would say yes. And I think there is something to be said about dying for your principles and dying for your values. And yes, some of us, there are values to die for, okay? But sometimes you have the discernment to not die in that moment, to live another day. And this is the issue, is like, when do I die? And when do I fight another day, right? So when we have these conversations, and I think these doctrines, what they end up being is a story we tell ourselves about being the hero. And you're sacrificing, you're being the hero as a sacrifice in the name of God, right? That's kind of like what I think it is. So I think conservatives, I think all of us desire to be good. And I think it just depends on the story we tell ourselves to know what the good looks like. So conservatives are the Gryffindors, right? And the Hufflepuffs are like the hippies, and the Ravenclaws are like the educators or the researchers or the philosophers. And Slytherins, wow, I'm bringing up transphobic Harry Potter here. And Slytherins are like kind of the ruthless sort of like businessmen. I don't know. Shout out Slytherin. But you know what I mean? I think when we have these conversations, we're really forgetting that we are just creatures of lore. I mean, the fact that they found like cave drawings deep in caves that are pitch black to our eyes, but somehow our greatest ancestors found ways into these caves and were able to draw on the walls, which means they were able to stake fire in there, which means they were able to have fire, which means they were able to even conceptualize art. It's ingrained in us. We are art. You know what I mean? Chad says, wait, Brittany, what houses are you in? I'm guessing Ravenclaw. I always test Slytherin, but I did recently test Ravenclaw. But I've always tested Slytherin, which I wear with pride. Slytherin, Ravenclaw, you're welcome. Thank you. But I'm not in the Harry Potter universe. J.K. Rowling really fucked it up for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't really been in the Harry Potter universe since J.K. came out as a transphobe, as a TERF. But, shout out to my youth, So that's my answer to your super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Okay, let's see. Okay, so move back from her. Go to my favorites. Okay, Oh my God, guys, total tangent. Do you remember yesterday how we were talking about bubbles as trees? And I said it's like people are in one tree and they think the whole world is this one tree, but it's actually a whole forest around them. Look what came up on my feed.
This is not a forest. It's all one tree. Weighing about 13 million pounds and covering over 106 acres, Pando is the largest known tree on Earth. Fun fact, Pando means I spread in Latin.
Pando is a giant aspen clone, first identified as a single organism in the late 1960s. And what a clone is it's genetically identical stems that are actually connected underground. Aspen systems reproduce clonally. That is, they have new sprouts coming up from the root system called juveniles or suckers or sprouts, and they are genetically identical to the parent.
And a tree this big gives people really big feels.
When I'm painting in the Pando, I'm sitting inside of a living organism that surrounds me in 360 degrees.
The Pando is a reflection on us and how we treat it, how we respect it. Yeah, you know, we're dependent on it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had a nerve.
This is not
I like how we got so emotional at the end. Isn't that so perfect for what we were talking about yesterday? Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Wasn't that so nice? I'm going to whiplash you back into Crazy Town. But wasn't that so nice? Okay. I just love it. I do. Wait, did I catch up? Oh my God, is that all I saved for you? Wait. Is that all I saved for you? No, I must have saved more. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I just watched a lot of videos, but I thought I saved more. Hold on. Oh no. Okay. So I'm stupid. I'm sorry. You have more to watch. Everybody get ready. Okay. So
Black people are
this woman we saw yesterday. Okay. But I just want to remind her, this is off-brand Reese Witherspoon, right?
getting too comfortable, and I am here to help our Black people are getting too comfortable, and I am here to help our Onyx sisters. Why haven't you gotten yourself a white friend? You are aging like beef jerky. I feel like as a white girly, I better share my...
Can you guys please tell me where my doppelgangers are? This is a Reese Witherspoon doppelganger if I've ever seen one.
What, is that racist? But this isn't?
White people are getting too comfortable, and I'm here to help our porcelain sisters. Why haven't you gotten yourself a black friend? You're aging like a banana. And I feel like as a black girly, I better share my secrets. So
okay, do you look at her channel? You'll get it. Once you look at you'll get it. Okay. Is it every video? Okay. It says that group of black people doing the line dance.
Even when I'm ugly, still better love me. And I can be late for a date, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that racist? Yeah. But this isn't.
Yeah, I think, again, it goes down to like punching down versus not punching down. You can make fun of people without bringing their race into it. But the reason it's not as controversial for minority people to do it is the same way it's not controversial to mention like making fun of the person with more status, blah, 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 punching down, blah, 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 blah. Okay, hold on. Why did I do this? Okay. Giving myself a round of applause because I figured it all out before the government got to my kids. I'm gonna get copyrighted. Okay, wow. And then, let's see. Oh no, I saw this one. Just kidding. Oh, just kidding. Oh. As a homeschool teacher who raised thinkers, not workers, I'm flabbergasted that there are no experiment that can demonstrate a spinning sphere holding water around it with gravity. There's no working tabletop version of the global model or globe model, not a single one that mimics water sticking to the spinning ball. She's a flat earther? Oh my God, she's a flat earther? Is she joking? Is this, I cannot tell. Is this, am I being pranked again?
That.
When God had me grow, carry, and love perfectly healthy babies for 39 weeks and 5 days just to take her back. Oh, that's sad. Wait, that's sad. I don't know why I read that. No, now I'm crying. I'm sorry. You had a miscarriage. That's sad. Wait, that's sad. But is this a joke? I cannot tell what's happening. Oh my God, does she have black kids? No. What?
Wait, what happened?
That girl on TikTok was so mean. She was just very event. Like, hey, you can't follow me. I will walk you down with my mom.
Oh. Okay, I did not go through all these ladies' videos.
Mom in my case.
She's obviously trying to build satire, but anti-black satire? What? But her kids are mixed? Oh, what?
The Spirit searches all things.
She said, this is why many of you will die sleeping, but millions of us will die with our eyes open and our hearts wide open. Conspiracy theorists? Nah.
Even the deep things of God. For who knows a person's thoughts except their own spirit within them? In the same way, no one knows the thoughts of God except the Spirit of God. What we have received is not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God, so that we may understand what God has freely given us.
Interesting. I'm having like a whole bubble pop about the bubble she's in. What? 3 people I constantly think about trapped and helpless. What? Who is this lady? What is her vibe? I don't get her. It's like she advocates for people, but she's also like so racist that I don't get what's happening. He is risen. So she's a... Oh, this is... Is she a lesbian? No, she can't be a lesbian. It's anti their religion. I'm stating here today, she's not a lesbian. God, the middle of the... Who's this lady? Is this her mom? This is literally me on TikTok. If you guys want to know what it's like, I'm just like in bed going, who is this? Why is she posting this? Click, 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 click. Who is this? What's happening? What is her point? I'm so sick of these nasty virtual prostitutes and porn stars marketing to minors on this app. Ew. So I think I'm going to send screenshots of her getting in the butt to her dad and brothers disguised as birthday cards with a note that says, since your daughter has no moral boundaries, me either. Girl! Ma'am! Not a girl's girl. Not a girl's girl. Oh my God. Oh.
I'm so hungry. I could eat a kid.
Hillary getting ready for dinner a date with Bill. Oh, I'm so hungry. I could eat a kid. Ha ha ha. Wow. Is she a lesbian?
The angels up in the clouds are jealous. No.
She's a lesbian! She's a lesbian! She's a lesbian, flat earther, Jesus Christ follower, mixed baby haver lesbian. She's a lesbian. Oh my God. Oh my God. What are the intersectional conservative? I'm literally dying. Whoa. This lady's everything. She was like, I want to be everything. Whoa. What? What?
Okay, listen. Somebody said, I don't understand why so many doctors would be in on such an evil conspiracy theory. If there was really a cure for these diseases like cancer and things, why would so many doctors be in on it when they have families too? And the best response I had was this. Typically, people who are brainwashed don't know that they're brainwashed until they do know that they're brainwashed. So these doctors go to medical school. They spend all of this money to learn information about the body, and their job is very important. So people respect them. You know, they assume that they're doing the right thing. The thing is they're just really good memorizers. These people, they're very good memorizers. They memorize what they are told, and they only do what they're told, and they execute their Western medicine beliefs. They haven't taken time to research another entire type of medicine to understand it. They haven't questioned the morality of the people who taught.
Her description says, look around, the autism, the cancer, the sudden deaths. The autism, the cancer, the sudden deaths. And look, can I tell you something? Can I be honest, guys? Can I hold your hand when I say this? Can I hold your hand when I say this? I'm going to hold your hand when you say this, when I say this, okay? You are not smarter than a good doctor, but you might know more than a bad doctor. So even though I support everyone's ability to self-diagnose, and I think you might know something about yourself others don't know, we also, progressives, I've seen an uptick of people really thinking they're smarter than people who go to medical school. And I'm going to need you guys to sit down. Like, yes, you are smarter than a bad doctor who doesn't give a fuck about you, but you're not smarter than a real doctor who's genuinely interested in making you better. So like, be careful, okay? Like, you know yourself. I know you know yourself, but also you need somebody to also confirm you do have these things, because at the end of the day, it's okay to live like you do have it if it helps you. But also, don't you really want to know if that's what's going on? Because you probably have something going on, but don't you really want to make sure it's what you think it is? So that way you can do something that can help you. Okay? So I understand it's difficult. I totally get it. I want to validate your self-diagnosis, but I also don't want you to be her. Okay? So we validate your self-diagnosis, but also, okay, you want to be careful about being her. Okay? Okay. We're over her. I don't know what's going on there. Thank you for your commitment to your life. Okay, let's scroll down. We covered all this yesterday. Okay, this guy also pisses me off.
I have a sincere question for the people who are saying that their life is in shambles because Trump is in office. What is materially worse about your day-to-day life because of Trump? Because the only reason you think that the world is in shambles is because your biased algorithm is telling you that. These are things that you would not notice if it weren't for your algorithm, because they are not affecting your day-to-day life. But you know what? My day-to-day life was affected by the cultural shift that was ushered in while Biden was in office. I noticed that suddenly I was having to be lectured on people's pronouns so I could be educated on how to address them. I noticed that all of the movies...
You know, I always said, why help the Jews when it doesn't impact me? We always ask, I'm being sarcastic, we always ask, why did people allow Hitler to genocide the Jews? Because it didn't affect them. That's why. That's why we're trying to stop that habit. Because we do have a habit of letting horrible things happen to other people if it doesn't impact us. You're a bad person, my bro. You learned the wrong lesson from history.
Movies that were coming out had politics injected into them. That movies suddenly became propaganda. I noticed that I couldn't say my opinions on social media without fear of being censored and possibly even losing my account completely. I noticed those things because they affected my day-to-day life. Whereas so many people out here are being hysterical over things that they literally would not notice if it weren't for their phones. I have a sincere question for the people who are... Can we as a society stop pretending like beauty is this entirely subjective thing? This 12-foot tall statue of a random obese woman just got put in the middle of time.
Okay, do we have opinions about the new statue that just got put up? I'm going to be real before I read your comments, so I'm not swayed by my audience. I love it. I think it's a beautiful statue, and I love her. That's my opinion. I love her. I think she's beautiful. I think every part of her is just great. I love her pose. I love everything about it. And I'm very picky about statues, but I love it. Okay, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do we like it or do we not like it?
of Times Square. Statues should be inspiring. All of the greatest civilizations known to mankind have known that. Ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, ancient China, all use statues.
Oh my God, I love that you guys don't know about this statue because it's all over my algorithm. Am I the only one on statue TikTok?
To inspire people, because they knew how important it was to inspire people by using beauty to represent ideals. And there is nothing ideal or inspiring about this obese woman who is wearing an ill-fit—
Look at this grifter, bro. Look at this talking point grifter. Shut up. I hate my timeline right now. My timeline is cursed.
t-shirt. I don't even think she's wearing a bra. Ill-fitting—
Oh my God.
pants, standing apathetically with her hands on her hips. I wish that people, and especially artists, would stop pretending like beauty is this entirely subjective thing. And they think that it's more artistic if they're pushing the boundaries of conventional beauty standards. But conventional beauty standards exist because beauty is not entirely subjective. If it were, then you could put a festering pile of human waste in the middle of Times Square and everybody would be awestruck. But they wouldn't actually be awestruck by that, and they're not awestruck by this because humans have an intuitive sense of beauty. We know intuitively that beauty should represent ideals, either ideals of symmetry, truth, the highest potential of the human form, the highest potential of human creativity. This doesn't represent the highest potential of humanity in any capacity. And that's why it's uninspiring, and statues should be inspiring. Can we as a—
Ugh, he's so fucking annoying. Okay, hold on. Now, let me see if I can find it for you guys. Hold on, give me a second. I'm looking. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Where is that video I saw? Hold on. Oh, I should have saved it. Oh, I hate myself when I see a video and I should have saved it. Oh, here it is. Maybe? No. Wait, maybe this is it? Let's watch it. Let's watch it together.
If you like
Oh, is he gonna play music?
art and design, you need to watch.
No. Hold on. Let me do this. Oh. Okay. Woo! I love art. Oh, I love art. I'm so untalented. I'm such a useless, talentless fuck. People are so talented and everyone just doesn't get it. First of all, this is the artist. Okay, this is him. Thank you. This is him. Okay, look at his statues. I am so fucking talentless, bro. Oh my God. Thank you. I am so just talentless. These aren't good photos. You gotta see, like, he just makes like, because you know statues suck. Okay, people are so bad at statues. Do you know what I'm saying? You know how like they always unravel this statue of a celebrity and you're like, this man, these statues are so good. I don't even know anything about sculpture, but like they look like real people. They look alive. Like they literally look alive to me. Like my brain, my brain is like, yeah, that's a person. How do they do that? How do they even get the material? You know what I'm saying? I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. Like, what? This is, oh, you guys can't see. Hold on. My bad. Wait, Boomer Brittany, thank you. Look at this. Like, look at the way that it's just like a real person, like you would see on a sidewalk, just a cell phone in hand, fixing a collar. I'm so talentless. That's so cool. I think it's awesome. So his statue, like people were like, oh, I don't like this statue. Even Sprinkle was like, she should have been, her hair should have been made, all these things, blah, blah, blah. You guys are not seeing the bigger picture. You're not seeing the bigger picture. Like, we are not a monolithic experience as humans. I love this. I love just how real it feels. So I don't know. I love it. I know people had opinions, but I just think they're wrong. Ugh, I love people. I think social media has effed up our brains so much that we think like even statues have to be, quote, like this Republican grifter said, you know, like as aspirational. It is aspirational aspirational to want to just have a simple life, bro. That's why I say don't try to be a famous YouTuber or artist. Just try to be somebody who can make a living doing what you want to do. And I know people make fun of me all the time because I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to be famous. You know, Lizzo recently came out and said, don't be famous. It doesn't allow you to make the art you want. It steals it from you. She said, just make a living being an artist, but don't want to be famous. And I've always said, there's nothing good about fame. But there is something about being because look, now he got fame and people are shitting on art that has no business being shitted on. This man deserves recognition, but also people don't deserve him. People don't deserve to see art that really explains what it means to be a person, a real person. We're so interested in turning ourselves into a fantasy that we forget the real thing is good enough. You know those moms, and I'm not girls, I'm boys, theys, I'm not coming for you. But you know those parents that took photos of their babies and just put filters on them and they don't have any actual photos of their kids without filters? My heart goes out to you because you probably didn't think about it. But you know what I mean? Like one of the things I appreciate about my parents is like I have all these pictures of me as a kid with my family, right? I have like all these kid photos and I get to see myself. I get to see me as a baby and that baby grew up into me, you know? And I get to, so again, I'm not criticizing, but I think sometimes we forget that real life is good enough. You are good enough. You're good enough. And it's okay if you get Botox and it's okay if you want to get fillers. That's okay too, but you're good enough. And I think you should get those things done when you realize like you're good enough. Like you are good enough, like you're good enough. Yeah. I think that's really what's important here. Anyways, okay. I got distracted because I didn't mean to derail us away from this cursed timeline I'm on. But let me see if there's any other horrible videos I want to show you. Or maybe we get to end this moment with something positive. Actually, one more and then we're done.
I hate to break it to you
Please hold. Okay.
guys, but anyone who talks about politics, I hate to break it to you guys, but anyone who talks about politics all the time is a loser. I'm not saying politics isn't important, right? Politics is very important. But anybody who talks about it more than they talk about anything else, if you're not getting paid to do so, if it's not part of your career, you're a loser. Oh my God, did you see what Trump did? Oh my God, Sleepy Joe's at it again. Get a job, bro. Give it up. The reason people do this is because they don't have any meaning in their life. They don't have any sense of purpose. And by talking about some bigger issue, they feel like that makes them important. And I'm a big proponent of like, whatever gets you up in the morning. I'm not really religious, but I understand why people follow religion, even though they pretty much all talk about the same thing, at least 99% of it. Religion gives you a sense of purpose, right? And that's important. But politics as your sense of purpose, go find something else. And the reason that politics is the worst thing to focus on 24/7 is you are asking to always be upset. It doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left or the middle. If all you do is talk about and focus on politics, you are asking to be depressed. And this is the funniest part. One more thing. There's nothing you can do about it. What's going to happen is going to happen. You worrying about it all the time isn't going to change anything. It's just going to make you upset. Get a job, go outside, then get some sun.
Do you get enough sun? No judgment. My timeline is cursed. Okay, it's cursed. Like, actually, I was talking to somebody because, I try not to center politics around my content because I want to focus on philosophy. But obviously, we talk about politics because it's a part of our life. Like, politics isn't you. You are not politics. You exist outside of politics. But politics impacts your life. And look, a majority of people are not thinking about politics. And some part of that is like a bad thing because you're not thinking about it. We don't have enough people to fight for good causes. But also, it is true that you don't want to center your life around politics, but it is wrong to criticize people who are active in politics and trying to do something. It's like saying, don't volunteer your time. Don't help your community. Because, why pick up that litter of trash when there's going to be more trash tomorrow? What? Because it matters. It's like, don't clean your room. It's like going to be dirty tomorrow. It's like, yeah, but we're still going to clean our room. You know, I think people forget that politics is like cleaning your room. It will add up if you don't clean it up. It will get worse if you don't do something. That's all of life, though. It will get worse if we don't do something. So we have to do something, not because it's going to change tomorrow, but because in like 300 years, it might just be different. And that matters. The fact that we still talk about, you know, history, the fact that we're still referencing people who've existed. Yeah, most people are never going to be remembered. And maybe that's not the point, but the work they did something. Even if we're not sure what part of it did something, it did something. You know? So my timeline is cursed. I'm officially going to have to rework my whole TikTok, maybe delete it and start one again. Cause like, oh my gosh, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to delete it, but it's bad. It was worse. I blocked so many accounts. I didn't even show you the pro-Israeli ones. Oh my God, the way they talk about Palestinians. Like, I didn't even show you those ones, you know, but it was bad. All because I saved that one Charlie Kirk thing. No, look, objective morality is funny because Christians think they have it because it comes from outside themselves, God. But when I say objective morality or objective reality, I'm saying outside of your Lord, outside of your God. How do humans know with their limited perception what is right or wrong? And listen, I know people are really confused at this idea. I'm not saying I know what is right or wrong for the world. I'm saying I know what's right or wrong in situations. I know in this specific situation, with all of the details, what a person should do. I do not know how this then applies to everybody else in the world. The issue is they want me to say, okay, well, if this applies in this circumstance, it applies for everyone everywhere. And I'm saying that's not how reality works. For me, the most true thing that seems to be real is that everything is contextual and situational, and that everything needs to have a discussion. The closest, and this is my truth, the closest I've gotten to objective reality, like things that could never be reasonable, was one time I was debating a Randian, and we were having a discussion about objective reality and like objective truth and objective morals. And I was talking about using logic as a means of objectivity, but logic, you can logic your way into bad conclusions. And we were talking about assault. We were talking about rape. And I said, well, in a society that is looking for the objective good, I don't see any objective good for rape. I feel like there's just basically no circumstance in which I could even justify it or make an explanation for it or in any way debate my brain into a conclusion that this could be reasonable unless we're working on some utilitarian framework which puts like procreation at the top. So we have to rape people in order to make offspring, right? But like, living in a world that's trying to be, living in a reality for Brittany, that's trying to be the most grounded and kind and compassionate, utilitarianism isn't good. Because utilitarianism has an outcome based off of like the subjective choice of outcome. It's not like utilitarianism means this outcome. It means the best for the majority and the majority rule. And the majority get to make a decision about what is good for them. But what if what's good for them isn't, you know, good? So for me, when I think about what could possibly be bad, no matter what lens you look at it in, it takes a lot of deconstruction. And then I still know I can't know. I cannot know if things are objectively outside of our perception bad, but people utilize objective in another way. They say that objective is when the majority agrees. I'm not interested in what the majority thinks because the majority can't even agree on like basic shit sometimes. I'm not interested. I know that's contradictory because the majority implies an agreement of a majority of people, but you know what I mean? So I think what I try to do is figure out in which situation, how to best harm reduce and move forward. And I try to do it with compassion and patience, but I also have to accept that I'm flawed and I won't know the best answer in every situation. But I can tell you that I'm pretty sure in every situation, from everything that I have seen, there is literally no justification for rape. Human rape. Humans doing rape. Because obviously I can't like control animal rape, like non-human rape, but like human interaction. And I think that would now require the other person to argue on behalf of rape, which I think is, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Why are you trying to make an argument for rape? Why are we doing this? Like, why are you even doing that? I get it as a exercise, but like maybe not literally though. Like that's the problem. Remember when what was that Hermosa Hermosa was making the argument that like child marriage made sense because at the time we needed children to all participate in the household and we needed more babies. Or how Hermosa was like, Alex Hermosa was like, if slaves could work every minute of every day they were alive, then so can I. You know, every time I think to myself, man, I was really edgy in my 20s. I'm really worried people will see those videos. And then I realized, never mind, I'm good. My version of edgy never even came close to what people say with their full chest, bro. Their full chest. I'm like, never mind. Never mind. Yo. Chat says hot take. Super, super hot take, guys. Rape bad. Very brave of me. Very brave of me. But, you know, I think people don't understand. They're often arguing in favor of rape when they do say, like, husbands can't rape their wives, or that you can't revoke consent midway, or that, oh, no, that wasn't rape. That was just, like, a mistake. Or, like, I do think people do rape apologists, like apologia. That is the point of living in a rape culture. You know what I mean? We do make excuses for rape because we don't want to call it what it is, because it's too much. People have to downplay. Do you know what I mean? Because it's they don't want to examine that, like, yeah, you're hanging out with a pretty bad person. A person who feels like they can't be that bad, though. Can bad people feel this normal? Yeah. Yeah. Bad people, people who will hurt you, who will do the most disgusting things, will feel like really great people. They'll feel like really good guys. So don't be paranoid that everyone's out to get you. But also, you know, rapists aren't going to look, horrible people aren't going to look the way you think they're going to look, which actually plays into beauty standards and how people who are disabled or disfigured often get assumed to be bad people when the prettiest person in the room doesn't, but the prettiest person in the room has just the same probability of being a bad person. You know? That's why they get these cute kids from college, these cute boys from college, and they go, he's such a good boy. And look how, you know, clean cut he is. Clean cut. Clean cut. Might be a fashion statement. Might be your beauty standards getting in the way of your logic and your good conclusion making skills. Yeah, so be careful. Be careful in how, when I say I judge people, but I say I never do it to condemn, it's because I know how stupid my brain is and how my brain could make a mistake of judging somebody who didn't deserve it. So I want to make sure that I am not judging to condemn, but I'm judging to say, I'm going to be cautious. I'm not saying it, but I'm going to be cautious, and I have the right to be cautious. And I'm going to try not to condemn you or write you off right away because I don't like the way you present. Because, yeah, I don't like the way some people present. But I also want to make sure that I'm not allowing my bias and prejudice to assume this person's bad just because they're associated with another way somebody presented in a way that, oh, that reminds me of this pattern. And especially as an autistic person, our pattern, like, we can recognize a pattern really good and we can be right and it can be amazing, or it can be wrong and it can be hurtful. So you want to make sure that you hold yourself to account, you know, and make sure you do your due diligence before you call somebody out or act a certain way, and apologize if you get it wrong type thing. Okay. With that said, I think we did it today. Here's what I want to say to you guys, because tomorrow I have off. Take care of yourselves. Have a good weekend. Reminder, we are back on the Discord watching Arcane. Very exciting stuff. Come join us on Sundays for Arcane Season 1. May 25th is the Discord 101. Great for new people. It's an open discussion event we have. Join the Patreon 18+. Join YouTube members all ages. I will have some content out for you guys ASAP tomorrow. BoJack Horseman for members. What else? Dun, 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 dun. Thank you. Good luck at the doctors tomorrow. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Chat says, Britt, are you going to cover the Mormon girlies? Which Mormon girlies? I'm out of the Mormon bubble. Which ones? But I do, and I will say I'm pre-recording content right now for when my sister visits. So you guys will have content out because she's coming pretty soon. So you guys will have content coming that is about the Mormon lady, if that's what you mean. I did pre-record content about the Mormon mom who abused her kids. Guys, it's bad. Oh, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Is there a new season? Is there a new season? Wait, is there a new season of Mormon Wives? Bro, I'm going to get on that, bro. Is there a new season? I missed it. Yeah, Ruby Frankie. I did record content about Ruby Frankie. It was bad. I cried. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. If season 2 is coming out, I'll definitely review it. I'm excited. I'm stoked. Oh my God, I'm excited. Okay, I'll definitely check that out. With that said, I will see you guys on Monday for members stream and Tuesday for public stream. Thanks for being here. Thanks for celebrating my birthday with me yesterday. Take care of yourselves. I will see you. Oh, it comes out May 15th. It is May 15th. I'm so excited. Oh, I definitely want to check that out. Okay. See you Monday. Goodbye. Bye. Oh, too loud. Really loud. Oh my God. So loud. Sorry. Oh my God. That was very loud. Bye-bye.